3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Good morning, DA. How are you?
Hello! Hello! Good morning, my neighbor! Get off! Damon Amendolara.
Yes, how are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Baby, it's a brand new day. Ain't no clouds hanging over me. Something doesn't feel the same. The rest of my life gonna start today. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The rest of my life gonna start today.
Yeah. Bing the bang the boom dong boom DJ. Let the big doggy!
DA, great question.
All aboard the dog.
This is why you do what you do. Yo.
Somebody stop me.
Have some fun with your marriage.
I'm coming to you to be fat. Let me be fat.
Look it.
There's so many sickos in this country.
This is facts.
Oink, oink. Ow!
Hot and hurt.
I like pleasuring myself.
This is so dumb.
A little more juice.
What?
I am broken.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The rest of my life gonna start today.
CBS Sports Radio.
Well, as I was saying, when I was listening to the radio, I heard something. And what did you hear? A hissing sound like this.
Hey, T.A. Hey, D.A. Let me aboard that mothership.
Permission to board that mothership, sir.
Well, you know I had to slide through the intergalactic swag party. D.A., man, beam me up. What's going on, my brother from another mother? Beam me up. You guys are the best. You guys make it fun.
Permission to board that mothership.
Mothership has connected. And you the man, D.A.
North America. The mothership has connected. Welcome aboard. It's the 4-hour Big Bang Barbecue. DA with you from the CBS Sports Radio studios in New York City, broadcasting to affiliates nationwide and north of the border. Anchorage to Atlanta, Charlotte to Sheboygan, Kalamazoo, and Waterloo. We are on the air.
They listening, D.A. Everything we saying, D.A. Everything.
How we doing, everybody? So glad you're with us on this fine Wednesday. Coming your way this morning on the show, we've got more mid-major mothership. Yesterday, we did the hooty-hoo for the Owls of Kennesaw State and their head coach, Amir Abdur-Rahim. This morning, we've got Southeast Missouri State head coach Brad Korn. Mraz loves this. He's booking mid-major and low-major coaches like we've got no more shows left after the week. Get them all in. Every day this week, another low or mid-major head coach. Keep lining them up. Brad Korn from the Southeast Missouri. What do we got?
The Red Hawks?
The Red Hawks even.
Yeah, came out of nowhere in the Ohio Valley, DA.
I love it. We had the Knights of Fairleigh Dickinson on Monday. The Owls, hooty-hoo, from Kennesaw State yesterday. And now the Red Hawks of Southeast Missouri State. SEMO, if it will.
SEMO, you're right. The real SEMO.
Mm-hmm.
Hubba, hubba.
Is that so? So Coach Korn coming up 2 hours from now.
Mm-hmm.
Also this morning in 20 minutes, the Jets are flying on an airplane to go see Aaron Rodgers. And in 40, a Wednesday staple, a champ and a chump. We begin with Lamar Jackson. The franchise tag deadline came, and the Ravens delivered the non-exclusive tag, which was pretty predictable. No long-term deal could be set upon by Baltimore and their quarterback. And so it's a 1-year deal, about $32 million or so coming to Lamar Jackson. And now other teams can negotiate if they are so inclined with Lamar, and they can offer him a much bigger deal. And the Ravens will then get that bigger deal and have a decision to make if he gets one, whether they want to match it. And if they don't, they would get the other team's next 2 first-round draft picks. So here's the Ravens telling Lamar Jackson, all right, let's see what else you got. So what's next for the Ravens and Lamar? It is where we begin, your cold open.
Yeah, we've been texting back and forth here and there ever since the season was over. So I feel like Lamar's doing really well. It's just what it is, part of the business. It's what you expect when you have a great quarterback, when you make a great decision in the draft. And I think Lamar has done a great job in terms of developing as a quarterback and winning football games and competing and doing all the things that he does. I feel like we've done a great job in terms of bringing out the best in Lamar over the years, and it's just evident in the way he plays, And so he's my quarterback, he's my guy, I love him, and as a coach, I'm looking forward to seeing it get done. But it's not easy, It's never easy. It's the business part of it. So, but I'm really hopeful and excited, fervently hopeful, and can't wait for it to get done.
I don't believe it!
The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending.
It's DA's top story.
Here he goes.
It's your cold open.
John Harbaugh a week ago. And I think that there's 2 different sides of the coin that the Ravens have played with Lamar. I think the front office has played their hardball. And I think John Harbaugh has tried to play good cop. You heard him there say, he's my quarterback. He's my guy. I love him. I think there's an element to Lamar Jackson where he does need to feel loved. I think that's important to him. And we all want to be respected by our employer. But I do think that Lamar Jackson, that bond, I think he's an emotional guy. He wants that. He needs that from his employer, and he has not felt that way. And so Harbaugh's trying to bridge this gap of cold business versus, Lamar needing some warmth. And I know Lamar was very close with Little Mo, and I just think that there's a part of Lamar's heart that's broken here because he doesn't think that the Ravens did him right. So the Ravens now, I think, are doing a very smart business play by saying, we're not going to set the market on Lamar. Let's let somebody else set the market on Lamar. Lamar's mad at us. Lamar wants fully guaranteed money. We don't think he'll get fully guaranteed money out there. So let's let somebody else tell him what we've been trying to tell him. That you want guaranteed money. We don't want to give it to you, but nobody wants to give it to you. So you might say it's a game of chicken because now it opens up the door for other teams to show him love, which is what Lamar wants. But I don't think Lamar's getting a fully guaranteed deal. And Lamar Jackson and the rest of these quarterbacks are looking at Deshaun Watson and saying, well, if he got it, and guess what? They should blame Deshaun Watson because he stunk when he finally played. And so think about if Deshaun Watson had come back with the Browns and suddenly they were much better and they surged into the playoffs or even the playoff race and won 4 or 5 games down the stretch. He stunk. He stunk. He seemed completely rusty. He seemed completely uncomfortable. I mean, only by the very last week of the season, last 2 weeks of the season, did he even seem like he could pick up the offense. Now, granted, a guy like Lamar Jackson is a much different situation because he's not sitting out of football for 2 years. But the issue is, had Deshaun come back and just gone gangbusters, it'd be easier to validate giving somebody fully guaranteed cash. He looks like a complete waste of money right now. I think he'll be better this year, full off season, etc. But, that's not when Lamar Jackson's going to negotiate. He's trying to negotiate that deal now. That's the first part. The second part is the owners never wanted fully guaranteed deals. Let's go back to the strike of 1982. Let's go back to the strike of 1987. Let's go back to the work stoppage of 2010. Every single time the players have fought for what the other leagues have, fully guaranteed deals. The owners give them everything but that. The owners will acquiesce to everything but that. And so the fact that the Browns gave Deshaun Watson every dollar, every red cent guaranteed perturbed all of the other owners, and they're not willing to replicate that for anybody else. And so yesterday, what I thought was amazing was the moment that Lamar Jackson was given the franchise tag, the non-exclusive. The first report was how many teams are not interested. Did you see this? Our friend Diana Rossini's first report was, here's all the teams that are not getting involved. I said, wow, that's interesting. And that was these owners all wanting to send up the smoke signal. We're not doing guaranteed money. If you want to back off of that, maybe, but we're not doing it. You want to call that collusion? Totally fine by me. Collusion would mean that they all spoke together and agreed to this together and said, let's form a wall. I don't know if that happened, but I know that they all are in the same pocket, which is we're not doing that. We don't like that Watson got that, and we don't want anybody else to get that because that opens up the door for everybody to get it, and we're not doing that. So Lamar's going to go out there, and I think Lamar's going to get a heavy dose of reality. I don't think he's going to find anybody that's going to give him the deal that he wants. And so he'll be forced to either take maybe less money just to prove a point to the Baltimore Ravens or suck it up and have to sign a deal with Baltimore that he probably could have already signed. I think the Ravens are making, whatever you think about how they've handled this, I think they're actually making the best decision possible for them. Now, they might have screwed it up to get to this point, but they're basically saying, let the market dictate what you're worth, you'll see, and then Maybe we'll match it. Maybe we won't. But then we get to decide. Now, did they already make Lamar bitter? Perhaps. And that's a mistake. That's a mistake. But I think a lot of this is Lamar believes he's worth guaranteed money, and he's going to realize he's not getting that anywhere. Here's your phone number, DA 855-212-4CBS. On Twitter, DA on CBS. Another note, last night, Pau Gasol had his number retired by the Los Angeles Lakers, and it now hangs right next to Kobe's jersey in the rafters. And it was a truly emotional night as Vanessa Bryant was there on hand and made a speech about Pau, and Pau made a speech about Kobe, and they played a video of Kobe Bryant saying that Pau's number should be retired and should hang next to his, and that they wouldn't have 2 championships without Pau. And I thought about how things come full circle in life and in sports, and that you really could never know what the end result is going to be when you're going through it. And that's just this mystery of life. Forgive me for being philosophical this morning, but when you think about Pau goes to Los Angeles to try to recreate some of the magic that Kobe and Shaq had. And after Shaq had left, Kobe was unable to make the NBA Finals again, the Lakers unable to compete for championships again. And they make that huge trade for Pau Gasol. And Pau is routinely criticized for not being tough enough to be Kobe's teammate. That Kobe is whipping him, beating him up emotionally and mentally, and that Pau is the quote-unquote European softie, and that he just doesn't want it the same way Kobe does. And he's not cutthroat like Kobe, and he's not cut like Kobe, and that Kobe is frustrated with him. And there's this constant drumbeat of Pau could never earn Kobe's respect. And you fast forward to 15 years later, 12 years later, and Kobe's gone, and here is Pau receiving all of this applause and bouquets and this bond, and Pau is crying last night, and Kobe's here saying how important he was and his numbers getting retired. And it's just amazing because it's so opposite what you would have predicted in 2008. It's so different than what you would have predicted 15 years ago. You could just have never thought, okay, do you think we'll spin forward the clock and Kobe won't be here, and there will be an emotional ceremony, and Pau will cry because his jersey's retired next to Kobe, who had a video validating everything that he went through. There's just no way you could have predicted that, which just is another example of what you think you know about life, what you think you know about sports, you just don't. And it's why I kind of don't care when I'm wrong. I think maybe when I was young, trying to prove something to somebody, the audience, my bosses, the people I worked with, you had to be right all of the time. And I see this on TV all of the time, that you simply cannot back down from arguments on sports talk radio. You can't back down in life. You can't back down. You fight with your spouse. You fight with somebody at work. You fight with a family member. You can't back down. You fight politically. You fight socially. You always are in a fight to prove that you're right. And the deal is that life proves to you, you don't know when you'll be right. You don't know if you'll ever be right, and you probably are wrong. You know, the things that you are so adamant about, that you are absolutely convinced of, you are probably going to be wrong on. And that life just takes you down a path, and that eventually it smacks you in the face and goes like, look at how different things are than you thought they were going to be. So to me, it's such a healthy dose of sports humility to just remember, whatever you think you know, you may not. And that's the beauty of this. and being wrong. I mean, thank God we were all wrong on Powell and whether he was tough enough or good enough or whether he could live up to Kobe's expectations or whether the Lakers could win with him, whether he could be the second best player in a championship team, because last night was beautiful because we were all wrong on that 15 years ago. When we come back on the show, the Jets got in an airplane and landed in California to beg and plead Aaron Rodgers, believe in us. Believe in me. Are the Jets going overboard? Next, DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Sing anything for
Yeah,
us?
sure. I know you guys play the Perfect Strangers theme on Friday, so maybe I'll give you a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change. No matter what the odds are this time, nothing's gonna stand in my way. This flame in my heart, like a long-lost friend, it's every dark street a light at the end.
You freeze.
Standing tall on the wings of my dreams.
You freeze.
Rise and fall on the wings of my dreams. Rain and thunder, wind and haze, I'm bound for better days. It's my life, my dream, nothing's gonna stop me now. Bum, 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 bum.
Wow.
Robbie.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
And we're anything but perfect strangers.
Wow.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was your best. That was your best.
You think so?
That was your best.
Nah, it was.
Pete, what do you think?
I think so. 11 out of 10.
Wow.
11 out of 10.
Next week I'll do the Mentos commercial.
Friday, I was on a Peloton ride, and 10 minutes after Mucinex, I yelled something. My wife saw me, and I had to have a detachable hose in the shower. And that's from Mucinex. If I have Bush's baked beans on Sunday, DA, I'm missing 3 drives to start the Giants season. Won't be able to adequately do the podcast. The first pair of underwear is out the window by the second quarter. They run right through me. I mean, like bleep through a tin horn. It would be bad. Like the witching hour, that 3 to 4 o'clock is scoring changes are happening. I have sweat dripping down my forehead, and I'm yelling out the door, asking my dad what's going on.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The only radio show where listeners are invited to their childhood homes. The DA Show on CBS Sports Radio.
All right, 23 minutes past the hour. Happy Wednesday to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Watch us at watchda.com. That's mobile friendly. Pop up the YouTube app on your phone. You can watch us on the CBS Sports Radio channel there. And on Twitch as well. And we actually discussed on this week's PGP the Bob's Bar Show, and we're coming to a conclusion on the date here shortly, I promise. I know many of you want the date to make potential travel plans. It's usually, traditionally, right around Memorial Day, so it's going to be right in that window, either late May.
Traditionally, we've done it twice. One on one weekend, one on a different weekend.
But both around Memorial Day.
Right. Year one was the Thursday before Memorial Day. Year two was the Friday the week after.
So we're working within a general time frame of week going into Memorial Day or 1 or 2 weeks after Memorial Day. That's kind of generally where we're looking at right now. But we will hammer this out. And we did discuss whether I've got to be fearful of my health if Knockout Neil does decide to attend. I don't want to ban anybody from attending. That wouldn't be right. I want it to be an open door policy. I've been assured by Pat Boyle that Knockout Neil's bit on the show was just that, just a bit, when he said last week when I was out that he was going to punch my pretty little teeth out at this year's Bob's Bar. I've been assured by Pat Boyle that he got assurances over the phone that was just a joke.
No biggie.
So I'm gonna run with that, and I will also tell you that I've been very thankful and grateful that many D-aliens did reach out to me over social media and tell me, "Hey man, Neil won't get close to you. We will make sure that you're protected." And I said, That's really nice. It's nice to hear that I've got a crew that'll go to bat for me. I hope it doesn't come to that. But if Knockout Neil punches me in the face, I think he might get jumped and get the snot beaten out of him by everybody else. And I'll tell you, you don't want to see Dana Mechanicsburg on 3 hours sleep angry.
No, he'll grab him from behind, and Tommy Topspin will throw donuts like Frisbees at him.
All aboard! Believe me, you don't want to see it. So I think it's going to be fine.
Justin will dig his eyes out with beer openers.
We have Foxy who will be there. Bayou Bear, even though I don't think he likes me anymore. Bayou Bear will be there. We could have Mac and Bear in Delaware there as well. We'll have a crew. So, look, Ragnar Razorback might make it.
Look, let's be honest. If Zach don't park your car, you ain't getting in.
Yeah, right. So Zach,
yeah.
Right. So Gelb holds the keys to everything. Knockout Neil's got to be on his best behavior. But I think that he will be. I think he's a good guy. I think that was just a bit. At least that's what Boyle was telling me.
Cap has already chimed in and said, I'm not taking a punch for DA. So Cap does not have your back.
Not a foxhole guy.
Not a foxhole guy.
So Woody Johnson tells everybody in the office, guys, what are we doing on Tuesday? I don't know, Coach. I don't know, Woody. I don't know, boss. Just hanging out. Franchise tag day. getting ready for this free agency period. I'm looking at some draft guys. Just got back from the combine. All right. Guys, Tuesday. Is anybody got to be home for anything? No, I'm good. I think I got to pick up my kid from school, but I could probably get my wife to do it. All right, guys. Road trip! Woo! Like Andy Bernard taking The Office to the site of the Gettysburg battle. Get on my plane. We're going to California. What are we doing that for, boss? What are we doing that for, Woody? Mr. Johnson, what are we doing that for, Mr. Johnson? We're going to California. We're going to see Aaron Rodgers. Woo! No way. All right. I have never been to California. This is so cool. Oh, man. Nate, bring your shorts. This is awesome. Salah's like, oh, man, you guys are going to love it. California's the best. Let's go. Woo! Tank top shorts. They're all on their weather apps. How warm is it out there? This is going to be awesome. So they get into Airwood.
Oh, I just got it.
They all pile into Airwood, and they're like, we're taking it out to California. They land yesterday, and apparently they spent the day trying to convince Aaron Rodgers how much he'll love New York and that they are due back this morning. Maybe they're already back, but we've got the exact private airports that they're flying to. We've got the details. Who was on the flight? It was Wood. It was Joe Douglas, the GM. It was Coach Robert Saleh. And it was Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator, who, remember, the secret weapon, Hackett was Rodgers' best bro back in Green Bay before he was a nightmare in Denver. Everyone piles in, goes out to California land, and they're trying to convince Aaron Rodgers, you're going to love it. It's awesome. Rodgers is like, yeah, but what about that Fireman Ed guy? Nah, don't worry. He doesn't represent everybody. You have Joe Douglas going, hey, there's this guy, Pete the Body, huge Jets fan, desperately wants you. He'll buy your jersey. He's going to love you.
Yes.
But then Rodgers is like, yeah, but what about that Schwartz guy? Is he just going to tape over like his old Kellen Clemens jersey?
He doesn't represent us.
No, it'd be a Namath. It'd be a Namath.
Is he just going to take that throwback Namath and just tape over it for Rodgers? Because that's kind of cheesy. We'll get him a new one.
Is that the guy that was serving mud slop?
And then Rodgers is like, I kind of like what you're selling me. Oh, wait a second. Is it New York where that overweight bald guy that showed me a picture of him in a Speedo works? Does he live out there? I'll have to be next to the buddy guy. Nah, I don't know.
I would love nothing more than for me to be dissuading this whole deal. I'm a Barbie girl.
So they're spending their whole day trying to convince Aaron Rodgers, you're going to love it here. And in doing so, some of the Jets players have also gone to stumping for Aaron Rodgers. Sauce Gardner used a picture of Rodgers in a Jets jersey and said, hey, at Aaron Rodgers 12, I promise if you become a Jet, I won't pick you off in practice and I'll burn the cheese head. Oh, ho,
Oh, my.
Because last year, the Jets went to Lambeau, won that game, and Sauce Gardner donned a cheese head. You had Breece Hall also taking to Twitter last night and saying he's trying to manifest this into something, trying to make it happen. Don't mind me, just manifesting Aaron Rodgers 12.
Okay.
So you got the Jets going overboard. I mean, owner is there, GM is there, head coach is there, offensive coordinator is there, star cornerback, young, dynamic running back. Everybody is just showing the love to Rodgers, showing the love. And let me tell you this. Even though I think Aaron Rodgers to the Jets is riddled with potential problems, if he doesn't say yes to the Jets, he is a scared loser. Because the Packers have already played their cards. we don't want you. They've already said that he's under contract for 2 more years in Green Bay. By allowing the Jets to come and give him a Jets party in person, the Packers are going, we'd rather see you leave. The Packers had to give permission for their player to he's not a free agent. He's under contract 2 more years. They're saying, yeah, Air Wood, come on in, bring the traveling party, convince him because we don't want him. So Aaron Rodgers has a decision. Either he returns to a place where he's unwanted, he retires, even though clearly he's not convinced he needs to retire, or else he already would have done that. I'm sure he's convinced he can play football still because he's still waiting on this decision. He can either go to a place he's not wanted, retire, or play for a team that's bending over backwards for him. And the only reason, it's not like they're a bad football team. It's not like it's the Texans saying, yeah, come play for us. It's a good football team. Everybody agrees if you add Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, from a football standpoint, it's an improvement. If he doesn't go to New York, there's only one reason. He's scared. He's scared of his little cocoon that he has built in Green Bay, where he doesn't have to deal with a big city media. And he's been a hero there for long enough, so there's enough entrenched Packers fans that defend him still. And he gets to do his weekly segment with Pat McAfee, who's never going to really challenge him because they're friends. And he gets to do his cave retreats and not show up to OTAs and tell all the young receivers you're not doing it right. And he gets to, push around the front office. That's his safe zone. And that wouldn't happen with a new team and a new fan base who you haven't done anything for yet. So the only reason he wouldn't play for the Jets is he's scared of not being in a comfort zone. There's no other reason. He thinks he can still play football. The Jets clearly do as well. Now, there's possibly a sliver of this of I just never envisioned myself playing anywhere else besides Green Bay. Okay. But if he thinks he can play football, the Packers clearly don't want him. Doesn't seem like there's anybody else that's really banging down his door besides the Jets. I mean, the Raiders don't give him a better chance to win and succeed. That would just be about comfort. If he says no to the Jets, it's about being unable to break out of his cocoon of control and comfort in Green Bay. So he'd be scared. He'd be scared. So I, for one, even though I think it's potentially explosive in a bad way for the Jets, I think he's got to do it. I think he's got to do it. They don't want him in Green Bay. They've said this. We're moving on to Jordan Love. Now, if he really wants to be a turd, he just says, I don't want to go anywhere, and I'm going to come back to training camp, and you guys have to make that uncomfortable decision. Jordan Love's the starter if you want so, and I'm going to be your backup. And we'll see how that goes. He can be a turd like that, but if he wants to be a hero, it's pretty easy. Choose the challenge of the Jets and everybody right now trying to win you over. I think Air Wood's going to land here soon. I don't know if they're bringing back Rodgers. They could bring back Rodgers.
Little red eye, you think, for Air Wood?
They said that they're going to fly Tuesday night into Wednesday morning.
Or Jetwood.
How Air Wood has got to do a morning flight. They can't be doing red eyes. But I guess you don't have coach on Air Wood, right?
But you lose a lot of time, remember. If you leave at 7 a.m. on the West Coast, it's a 4-hour flight on Air Wood, and then you lose 3 hours.
A couple movies. So what? It's a nice day. It's like sitting in your living room all day.
But you end up landing here at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's half your day's over.
Yeah. You don't think Air Wood can go all night?
Well, I think Air Wood definitely could go all night. I mean, what kind of sheet? Do you think it's Egyptian cottons they have on Air Wood they're laying down with? They ain't having the coach seats.
A lot of Johnson & Johnson baby oil on there.
And powder. Lots of powder.
Pete always goes too far.
Saying.
Standing by with headlines this morning is a kind sir, Andrew Bogish.
And headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $700 on average. Call or click today and find out if you could save hundreds on your car insurance.
Get lost, you loser!
So,
get lost!
Pat Boyle is better at Canadian bacon than Sean, and he's now better at breaking Giants news than Paul Dottino, the other half of One Giant Step. Boyle predicting the agreement between Daniel Jones and Big Blue that was struck shortly before yesterday afternoon's franchise tag deadline.
Pat Boyle, of all people, broke news yesterday.
It's a four...
When you break news, you got to lose a number in your Twitter handle. You can't be Pat Boyle 44. Cut it down to Pat Boyle.
At Adam Schefter 12.
Right, exactly. It's Connor Green 51 and Pat Boyle 44. You guys aren't linebackers in the NFL. Can we lose the number?
We're talking about a steak or we're talking about a hot dog?
It's a 4-year pact that guarantees Jones $82 million at signing. That's about $11 million more than back-to-back tags. And since they didn't have to use their tag on Jones, the Giants placed it on running back Saquon Barkley instead. If he signs it, he'll make $10 million for the coming season.
Has any Twitter handle with a number ever broken NFL news?
I mean, maybe from a player, a former player who has his real number, but that's Boyle's, Minnesota Summer League number 44 attacked on.
Right, and is that the way he gets credited? Former college pitcher Pat Boyle wore the number 44?
Lamar Jackson will get at least 32, or at worst, I guess I should say, 32 mil from the Ravens after receiving the non-exclusive tag yesterday. So he's allowed to speak with other teams, but apparently no one wants to talk to him. But if that changes and Lamar moves, the Ravens get back 2 first-round picks. And then, of course, we've got Aaron Rodgers hosting a Jets contingent that includes owner Woody Johnson, GM Joe Douglas, and head coach Robert Saleh. Lastly, from the NFL, the Bucs releasing starting left tackle Donovan Smith for $9.9 million in cap savings. Tampa Bay began the offseason $55 million over the cap, thanks mostly to a $35 million charge for Tom Brady. The Memphis Grizzlies have now dropped 3 straight, the last 2 without Ja Morant, 112-103 at the Lakers last night. There's nothing new with Morant, said head coach Taylor Jenkins.
We're in touch with him every single day. It's staff, it's teammates. He's still a huge part of what we do. As I said the other day, we love him. We want what's best for him. We support him. So there's a level of support, and then there's definitely an element of accountability that we're having discussions about. But again, I'm not going to comment on what those bars are going to be.
The Lakers, meanwhile, have now won 6 of 8 to reach 9th in the West. Anthony Davis, 30 points and 22 boards last night. No Giannis or Drew Holiday, but the Bucs still won for the 18th time in 19 games, 134-123 in Orlando. Brooke Lopez led them with 26. Kyrie scored 17 of his 33 in the fourth to get the Mavs past the Jazz, 120-116. The Warriors losing in OKC, 137-128, despite 40 from Steph Curry. And the Hornets snapped the Knicks' 9-game run, 112-105. At the Garden. As for the college kids, they're dancing in Charleston.
College of Charleston inbound. Scott takes it at midcourt, tosses the basketball high in the air, and the College of Charleston is going to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2018. They do so on the wings of 31 victories. The highest win total in all of college basketball.
Wow. How about that? Tom McCarthy, Westwood 1.
Yeah, they got the Westwood 1 treatment.
Yeah, there's
in the conference tournament.
At least a game a night this week is going to be on Westwood 1 for those mid-majors, the smaller conferences.
Wow.
CSC with a 63-58 win over UNC Wilmington in the CAA title game. Northern Kentucky took the Horizon bid
NKU, baby!
Is that so?
Cleveland State, 63-61. Oral Roberts cruising to the Summit Crown, 92-58 over North Dakota State.
Toothpaste.
And Gonzaga smacks St. Mary's, 77-51 to win the WCC spot for the 10th time in 11 seasons.
How about that?
Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said yesterday the plan is for Mookie Betts to play roughly 40 games this season at second base.
Really?
110 in the outfield, roughly 10 off days. The second base
Good for him,
plan.
little versatility.
He won't get hurt that way.
The second base plan started when Trey Turner left for Philly in free agency. Now shortstop Gavin Lux is done for the year with a torn
What do we
ACL.
think about this? Taking an MVP and making him a second baseman?
Well, he's done this before.
A third of the year?
I believe that's the first position he played in Boston.
Yeah, I'm saying
it's
but
not
he's an MVP
outlandish.
that you signed to play the outfield. Now you're bringing him back
and
as
he's
he
in
gets
his
older.
prime.
Because they're trying to get their best 9 or best 8, I guess, out there on certain days.
It's a
And
different
they're
approach.
A little thin.
I would worry a little. I mean, he's really great at everything that he does, and he's incredibly athletic. But I would worry a little bit about like throwing an MVP in the middle of his career back into the infield, and like not first base or third base.
We're used to in New York taking catchers and putting them in left field and watching them fail miserably. My only question is, you said because Trey Turner left for Philly, didn't he go to Boston? Has now got hit in the face yesterday?
No, that was Justin Turner.
No, Trey Turner signed a huge deal.
Yeah.
Phillies.
With the Philly. He's the Philly shortstop.
$300 million.
Yeah. Justin Turner's the Red Sox.
Okay.
Baseball.
Yeah. They lost both their Turners. One to Boston, one to Philly.
Yeah. The good one went to Philly.
Yeah.
The old,
the red bearded
one.
guy.
Right.
I thought Justin Turner was pretty good. Was he not pretty good?
He used to be pretty
years
good.
ago.
Oh, he's not good anymore.
Now he's just big red. He looks like a big
See,
lumberjack.
this is why we need pace to play to hurry up and get stamped for these West Coast games. Get a little feel for the Dodgers.
Right. That's what it is.
You're amped up for this season.
Get a feel for the Dodgers. You didn't know that one of their best players left for a $300 million deal.
I just heard Turner yesterday with Boston. I got all confused. I forgot.
Finally, hockey, the Kraken beat the
Get a
Ducks.
feel for what happened to Trey Turner.
But please, tell me all your deep thoughts on the status of baseball.
He's a free agent?
The Kraken beat the Ducks 5-2 for a 5-game win streak. Vegas' 3-game run ending in Florida 2-1, and Pete's Islanders beat the Sabres 3-2.
Yes.
The Fish Sticks 10-3-3 over their last 16, climbing to the top of the Eastern Conference wildcard standings.
How often are they wearing those fish stick uniforms? I like those.
They've worn a couple of times this
It's
year.
like a third jersey. So
Yeah, and most teams are not wearing them that much.
It's like once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I like those. Those are like the mid-'90s goofy jerseys that all the teams across sports created, and then they quickly were thrown into a dustbin. But when you dust them off, I think they're pretty cool, actually.
Well, these ones in particular,
The fishermen.
Yeah, I agree.
Were greeted so poorly as their main jersey.
Yeah.
Now it's like a sarcastic nod to that.
But even not sarcastically, unironically, don't you think they're kind of stylish? That logo's kind of cool. It's like a mad fisherman.
Because old adults, when they were the new jerseys, hated them. Now the kids are adults for when they were new. And
Yeah, but
love
again,
them.
not nostalgically.
Like,
I
they
think that
actually
they actually
looks
look
nice.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And
An
they're a
angry
little
fisherman
updated
look.
now,
Yeah.
right?
What?
They did update them a little bit.
It's reverse retro, so it's like the colors are a little different.
Right. But the logo's cool.
I agree.
And it looks even better without that GM there.
Yeah. The lighthouse.
Why am I blanking on
You
the
taking
name?
a veiled Mike Milbury shot?
Milbury, yes, I am.
That GM there.
That's how much I
Trey Turner.
hated him. I couldn't remember his name. 3, 2, 1.
The lighthouse logo is kind of cool in the patch, too, because it's like, what is an islander? Does it just mean you're a resident of Long Island, a
Yes.
native of Long Island?
Yeah.
Or is it an islander originally was like somebody that worked on the docks?
Oh, is that right?
Well,
Or
I
are you
mean,
guessing? I don't.
Well, I'm saying if that's kind of symbolic of Long Island being
Yeah.
a fisherman and then a lighthouse, it's about being on the ocean.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool jersey.
I agree. It's even cooler when Schwartz gets 2 of his kids in, gives them one of his tickets, and he goes and sits in the media press and then eats chicken fingers for free.
That did happen, didn't it?
Yes,
Did all of that happen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All happened.
That's a common route.
He did not go there to cover the game. He went there to sit in a seat for free because his kid asked to take a friend to the game, so he gave the friend the ticket, and he sat up there.
With a
How
tray
do you
of
know
chicken
all
tenders.
of that?
Because I'm the guy. I'm the meat on the bone guy.
Detective Milkshake. He's on the beat.
I feel bad that there are people reporting that news to you.
He's
I'm sorry for all of you.
He's on the beat.
I know. I'm impressed.
I got a text. You got to see what a pig this guy's being in the press box.
Mraz might not know that Trey Turner left, but he definitely knows what Schwartz's Tuesday night looked like at USB Arena.
He's going to the NCAA tournament for the first time.
Still need to feel for the Dodgers, arguably the best team for the last decade in baseball. But I got you all on Schwartz.
Champ and Chump next. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
now the end is near, so I face the final curtain. My friends, I'll say it clear, state my case, of which I'm certain. I've been on time most weeks, through train delays, and on the highway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each weekly song, each custom tune. On every Thursday, I've had my share of laughs singing with D.A. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. Salsa from the mall, it gave me gout. I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who squeals. The record shows it's time to go off too far, Bombay.
Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Only one letter separates them, but they're galaxies apart. One is a true winner. One is a pathetic loser. This is DA's Champ or Chump.
Remember, the DA Show is available in podcast form. The best the best of the show or the full 4 hours available. Simply search The DA Show on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Your champs are the Lady Jags of Hoover, Alabama. This is such an interesting story. Hoover High held a basketball tournament for 5th graders, and the Lady Jags entered and won in a boys tournament. Now, they were not awarded the trophy, and a lot of people, this went crazy thinking that it was gender related, but the city said it's simply because they were a select team, not a local team. And if they were a group of elite players grabbed from different places, they were not eligible for the trophy, but they could play in it to get experience. But either way, I thought this was cool because here's a women's team, a girls' team in 5th grade that came together, wanted to get better practice, wanted to elevate themselves, and said, we'll enter the boys' tournament. And they won it. So they come together. They end up playing their best basketball when it matters most. They challenge themselves, and they deliver a big win. So I think that's the big story here. Everybody wants to make this about rules and gender inequality, whatever, but seems to me that these were just the rules in place and Lady Jags knew about it, so that's not big a deal. I think it's more about saluting them, and ultimately the town council gave them a pretty cool little moment in the sun as well after the fact. So the Lady Jags of Hoover, Alabama are the champs.
That's DA's champ.
Your chumps are all these power programs that are going to miss the NCAA tournament. You've got some of the best programs, blue bloods in the country, holding on for dear life and trying just to make it by the hairs of their chinny chin chin. Michigan probably will not make the tournament. North Carolina may not make the tournament. Syracuse will not make the tournament. This has been a year where, woof, a lot of the blue bloods have fallen by the wayside, and so those programs have to watch and wait and see everybody else take those bids, and that's good for new blood in March Madness, but bad for the blue bloods.
That's DA's chump. Class is now dismissed.
All right, coming up next on the show, the Giants lock in Daniel Jones. Have some more work to do about Saquon Barkley. How do we grade out the Giants' day yesterday? DA, CBS Sports Radio. It's number 5 of the 12 Days of Christmas weekend at Berman's.
Day Chris Berman passes away, we better weekend at Bernie's him up at Monday Night Football at halftime. You better do it. Get him up there with some string, some sunglasses. He's got to whoop his way through that. We don't care how dead he is. I'm sorry. These guys need to live.
Whoop!
Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Rumbling, Raiders.
It's so bad.
Right now, if you're watching at watchda.com, I'm basically playing a puppet and somebody's moving my mouth.
The frozen tundra.
I am so uncomfortable with what's going on right now.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
This is some day for your impersonations, DA. I mean, you've been locked in on 3 different people. Dead Chris Berman, Dickie V, and Morty the Lemur.
Never a discouraging word.
Frank Caliendo's toast after today's show.
Berman starts breaking out all the references from the 90s. Sorry, Barry Word's not playing in this game, Berman.
Shh, do it.
Barry Bananas Foster.
That's James Conner. Boomer, that's James Conner.
It's a well-dressed Amani Tuma.
Yeah. Sorry, Darius Slayton, Boomer.
Oh.
What are you laughing at?
The weekend at Bernie's Berman was the best and worst bit we've ever done, ever. Like his family would crush us for this, and you're holding your mouth up, your arms. Honey. Oh. I'm going to be picturing that the rest of the day.
What, weekend at Berman's?
Weekend at Berman's, propped up with the sunglasses on the set. Fastest 3 minutes. Carry Chris in. Here we go.
Here goes the Bucks at the new sombrero.
It's terrible, but it's so funny.
No longer the Bay of Pigs.
Oh, man.
When you see Chris Berman these days, it's not a pretty thing. A couple of weeks ago or months ago, he dyed his hair blonde. It was so awkward and weird. And you're just holding desperately onto the vestiges of the 1990s NFL prime time.
Oh.
Weekend at Berman's, number 5 of the 12 days of Christmas. It really hits close to home for you, Mraz, because you still watch it every single week.
And this bit we did on the show, first of all, what playing back that audio doesn't do it justice. You moving your mouth as if he was a string doll and Weekend at Bernie's was so unbelievably hysterical that day. And just last week when the Giants had beaten the Seahawks and I was watching primetime and they take the 5-0 lead, he pulled back the 90s thing where he goes, is Griffey Jr. in Seattle hitting a 3-run homer here? And the way he said it, my immediate mind pictured you moving the mouth and moving the arms like Weekend at Bernie's, like we had propped it up. And just listen it back. It's the best.
It's like he's one of these marionette figures, and his arms are just hanging and suspended in air. They're moving his mouth, and then they pull the ripcord. They pull the string behind him, and he just has 10 different 1990s references.
And I'll never forget, after the show, walking around all day going, not for nothing. Chris Berman, nothing could happen to him for the rest of the year after we would have looked so bad after doing Weekend at Berman's if something horrible had happened to Chris Berman.
You guys did this. You pretended like he was a dead puppet.
Imagine that email. DA Sean Bogush, a word.
We're all over Deadspin. Show makes fun of dead Chris Berman right before he actually croaks.
And there's video.
Yeah. Cruel, classless sports radio show.
Mornings are hard. Your sports radio show doesn't have to be.
I'm so happy you guys are still alive.
I am excited.
I am so happy. Laugh and learn every morning aboard the mothership.
Ooh. Have a good day. And all my homies gonna ride today. And all these mommies look fly today. And all we wanna do is get by today. Hey, we're gonna have a good day.
It's gonna be a good day with DA.
Hey, duh.
I do love the duh.
Happy Being Alive Day.
Mornings on CBS Sports Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy Being Alive Day, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Coming up this morning on the program in 20 minutes, we've got your sound check, your best audio of the day. And we had a news breaker yesterday on the show. Our very own Pat Boyle breaking the news of Daniel Jones getting a long-term deal. Somehow the one and only Tom Doyle broke the news. That'll be part of sound check, the disbelief around the newsroom. And in 40 minutes,
Tom Boyle.
Brandon Miller at Alabama, who has been embroiled in controversy, wins SEC Player of the Year. So speaking of Daniel Jones, he gets a 4-year deal Is it $150 million?
160.
160, so $40 million per for the next 4 years.
Yes, that's the average annual value.
I think the Giants did the right thing here. Did you think that Daniel Jones was a $40 million a year guy before the season began? No. Did you think midway through the season Daniel Jones was worth $160 million? Probably not. But where we sit today, this was the right decision by the Giants. Is it possible last year was the anomaly and that he had one good season and that Daniel Jones goes back to the mediocrity bin of the NFL? Sure, it's possible. But if you are the Giants, what you are trying to do is twofold here. A, you're trying to build a winning culture so that getting to the playoffs, winning a playoff game is not out of the realm of possibility. It's what you're expected to do. You play in big games, you compete for the division, you win postseason games. That's what you're trying to establish as the regular bar for your franchise. So bringing back important guys that help you do that to help you continue down that road is, to me, smart. And the Giants don't have a high draft pick this year to get another quarterback. And they proved that Daniel Jones, who proved it to them, is the good fit for them, is a right fit for them, is a productive fit for them. So that's the first part. The second part is, I think you want to reward guys that buy in. Daniel Jones didn't come into this past season bickering with Brian Dable. I don't want to do that. He didn't buck against what they wanted him to do, run the football, use his legs, put his body on the line. When Daboll ripped him a new one in Tennessee, week number 1, for throwing another red zone interception, Jones didn't pout and sulk and hang his head. He stepped up and responded. What you don't want to do is send the message, we're going to demand you guys listen to us. We're going to change what you're comfortable doing. We're going to publicly reprimand you or put you in uncomfortable situations. And then when you acquiesce and do it all, we're not going to reward it. No, you want those guys to see, okay, if I buy into what the coaching staff is selling, it works for me because we win games and I get paid. It's a good way to send a message to the rest of the guys in your locker room. Buy in, we'll take care of you. If you do what we think you can do, we'll take care of you. So, you know, it hits on both those. It checks both those boxes. So I think the Giants did the right thing. I think it would have been crazy for Daniel Jones to go elsewhere because how many times have we seen a guy try to just strike while the iron's hot, get all the money, and then go to a team where he's unfamiliar, a lesser team, and then roll snake eyes, and then he never gets another chance to start again. The Giants were going to pay you handsomely, maybe not as much as somebody else would have, but save a few bucks, stay where you know you can be successful, keep the continuity. I think it's smart from both sides, both parties. And, I mean, the Giants are not tied to Daniel Jones for 6 years. They are buying stock on Jones at age 26, 27, 28, 29. They get out of this deal by the time he's 30 years old. So you now built a window where you're betting on Daniel Jones' athletic prime, but you give yourself a 4-year window to also find his replacement if you feel it's necessary. I think it's the perfect length. And Mraz brought this point up the other day. Assuming the salary cap goes up next year, what $40 million a year is today is what next year or 2 years from now or 3 years from now might feel like $28 million today or $31 million today. Again, good money, but 40 won't be 40 3 years from now against your cap, what other guys are getting.
So I think this just makes sense on both sides. I think the Giants nailed this from a Jones standpoint. I don't know if Jones is going to be a star. My guess is Daniel Jones tops out at the 7th best quarterback in the NFL, the 6th or 7th best quarterback in the NFL. I think for the rest of his career, it's going to be Mahomes number 1, and then you pick out of these next guys, Burrow, Allen, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. Those guys are probably going to make up the top 5 until further notice. And maybe a guy gets drafted this year that cracks into the top 6 or top 7. I think that Jones is going to be on the outside of those guys for his career. But I'd say this. Do you want a top 10 quarterback? I think Jones could be a top 10 quarterback. And do you want him at age 26, 27, 28, 29 when athletically he's still in his prime, but he's also now got 5-6 years experience? Yeah. It's a good time to buy on Daniel Jones. So I think it makes a lot of sense. The Saquon Barkley thing I also think makes a lot of sense if you can get him on a 1-year tag. Now, they've tagged him as a non-exempt. So it means that another team can try to give him a bigger contract and non-exclusive. Yada, yada, yada. Same thing we're talking about with Lamar Jackson. Yada, yada, yada over the best part. It's not the best part. It's very boring. If the Giants can get Saquon Barkley on 1 more year, it's great. You ring him dry for another 20 carries a game. You get another 1,100 yards out of him, 1,200 yards out of him, 9 touchdowns. And then next year, you don't have to invest in Saquon Barkley and a running back. You would get in the draft in the 4th round or whatever. It's like, how many times have we seen a dynamic running back, a productive running back, come in the 5th round or later? And the Giants can easily do that. I'm not saying that Saquon Barkley's not valuable, but let's face it, you can find a guy who is the equivalent of Saquon Barkley at age 26 in the 4th round of the NFL draft.
And there's a belief this year's draft has like 10 legitimate starting running backs in it.
And Bijan Robinson is the best running back in this draft, and he'll probably be drafted in the 20s.
Right, Najee Harris territory.
So think about this. If you take the 2nd best running back in this draft, you don't even have to draft him in the 1st round. He's in the 2nd round, the 3rd round, the 4th round.
Right, like Breece Hall with the Jets last year.
Bingo. So if the Giants can get him on a 1-year deal, but that's a question mark, right, Mraz, that he might not sign this 1-year franchise offer.
Yeah, there's belief that his camp is not going to allow him to play on the franchise tag, which is what Le'Veon Bell did. But I think the Giants do want to come to some sort of...
Le'Veon Bell's the only guy that got tagged and then decided to sit out the entire season.
Right. And remember, this is the same tag that Tony Pollard and Josh Jacobs just received as well. So there is going to be a competitive market. Do those two play on the tag? So it's going to be... I think all 3 of these guys will probably be pretty linear in what they end up doing with their teams.
Now, I understand why running backs are bothered by things like this, because they see everybody else get long-term security. And you would love to know that your contract is guaranteed beyond the current season due to injury, etc. I totally understand. But if you could just dial into a one-on-one situation, the best thing about sports would be if everybody had to play on 1-year deals. That is the best way to assess value. What you did last year is how you get paid for this year, and how you get paid next year is what you delivered this year. That if we all went on 1-year contracts in sports, it would be an assessment of what that guy's value is right now. So, I can't hate on the franchise tags that much. I get it that they're unique compared to all these other contracts. When you look at the NBA and a guy gets $170 million over 3 years, and you're like, well, that guy can, be a total bust or total bum, and he still gets all of his cash. It bothers you. But the 1-year deals, let's face it, are the most fair deals, especially if these guys are paid at the top X% of their position. If I told you you're going to go year to year at your company, but you get paid the average of the top 3 people in your profession, not in the company, in your profession nationally, I'd sign up for that deal every single day. I get the average of the top 3 guys doing this? Yes, please.
That's DA money.
That's even that's a multiplier of DA money.
Who wants Eggs Benedict this morning?
I mean, right? If you average like whoever, the biggest names in your industry, and then you said, okay, you get the average of those salaries for 1 year, and we do that every single year. Yes. Boom. Sign me up. But what would the Giants come to with Saquon Barkley that you think he would agree to? A 2-year deal?
Well,
This is a 1-year, $10 million deal.
Yeah, see, I don't think he would agree to a 2-year deal because at that point, why wouldn't you just take the tag the next 2 years? Probably a 4-year deal with an out after year 3. And if they're paying him $10 million on the tag and Christian McCaffrey's making $15 to $16 million, you're talking about $12.5, $13 million
per year.
Per year.
But you can't give Saquon that.
Which is why I would not do it. I wouldn't do it. You can't.
So you just let Saquon either sit out if he's going to be a you-know-what about it, or he plays on the 1-year tag.
Right. Calls bluff. Okay, you're going to sit out. We're just going to keep tagging you. I mean, and that is ultimately what sucks for the player, but it is what it is. And let him play next year. Go be, a great running back again, and then maybe somebody will pay you.
I will take Bradley.
I mean, there's just no way in today's NFL that you would ever sign a 3-year deal to a running back who's A, been in the league 4 years already, B, has had injuries.
Yeah, and these other running backs that sign these deals do him no favors. The Zeke deal is a disaster.
Total.
The Kamara deal is a disaster for that team. Derrick Henry seemed worth it, but the Titans were never good enough allocating that much resources to him to win a Super Bowl, and now they're already shopping him. And the one that got the most money was Christian McCaffrey. Carolina's already traded him on that contract, and San Francisco was only able to absorb it because they have 2 quarterbacks on rookie deals.
Also, how long you get a guy when you pay him for the production that you're paying him for is a massive risk at running back. I think if you are going to pay Joe Burrow, let's say, or the Chiefs paid Patrick Mahomes, or pick another big-time pass rusher, wide receiver, when you pay him, you're probably getting 5 great years of what your production is expected to be. He's going to be around that. I mean, nobody thinks that Patrick Mahomes, and granted he's the number 1 player in the league, is not going to be Mahomes 5 years from now. That this window is what he's going to be. Burrow the same way.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, you would think that what he did last year is what he does for the next 4 years. There's no way you can look at a 25-year-old Saquon Barkley and say what he did for us in 2022 is what he'll do for us in 23, 24, 25. There's no way you can look at Derrick Henry and say he's averaged 1,500 yards a year for the last 3 or 4 seasons. You would never project that out 2 years from now. There's no way you would project that out 3 years from now.
Well, also, insert franchise left tackle here or insert Myles Garrett as a pass rusher for the Browns. You're not finding a guy or 2 guys that are going to give you that production in the 3rd round and 5th round of this year's draft the way that works with the running back position.
Correct. That's another thing. If you were going to sign Myles Garrett to a free agent contract, what I saw in 2022, I can project out 23, 24, 25. I might not get it in 26 and 27, but I'm getting it for the next 3 years. And then B, I can't find Myles Garrett in the 6th round. I can't bet on that. Meantime, Isaiah Pacheco is running all over the place in the Super Bowl. The guy's a 7th round running back.
Right.
And who would deny that the next Isaiah Pacheco is in this draft? It's definitely going to happen.
The Giants actually did this already when our colleague Tiki Barber left, and the next year they had 7th round rookie Ahmad Bradshaw running all over the place.
And they won 2 Super Bowls.
Yes.
Derrick Henry ran for 1,500 yards this past season at 28 years old. And we're not in a room of high-end data analytics, but next year, this upcoming season, he'll be 29. The following season, 30. At 30 years old, what would you say the over-under rushing yards for Derrick Henry is? That's the 2024 season.
1,100 yards.
I would have said $1,000. I would have said 1,000 yards. Now, it's a 17-game season these days, but he's put on a lot of mileage. There is a lot of carries and a lot of physical carries on Derrick Henry. So you would pay him today for getting you 1,500 yards, But you would know that 2 years from now, you're projecting him to be 1,000 to 1,100 yards. Can't do it.
No. We've seen this recently. Sean Alexander, C.J. Johnson, all these big running backs that were big for a short amount of time. When the wheels fall off, they fall off hard.
Yeah, and it crashes back down to earth pretty dramatically as soon as you get into your late 20s, which is where, you usually get free agent deals. Once you get through your rookie contract, you might get one deal, and then that's where you are. Saquon's trying to get his second deal, his first contract extension, and Derrick Henry's already on to age 29 season. When we come back on the show, sound check your best audio of the day. Skepticism reigns supreme in the radio world when our very own Tom Doyle broke the Daniel Jones news. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
We welcome in Minister Martin to the proceedings. Minister Martin, good morning.
And good morning to you as well.
Minister Martin, you are dressed with a fedora, an overcoat, and a scarf indoors. May I ask why?
It's freezing in here. You might need an exorcism. And I buy all my clothes at Landry's. I get my socks from Lombardi's because they have to be special priest socks, real black socks. See, the socks that you guys are wearing are very, 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 very blue and not black. There's a difference.
I see. Well, Minister Martin, please, the floor is yours if you'd like to say a few words.
Gentlemen, as we think about happiness overall, I didn't know what the meaning of happiness was until I got married, and it was too late. We now go to our service book here as we present this funeral, this graveside service.
Yes.
But before you even do a funeral, you have to break the news to people at the loss of a loved one. So I'll give you some tips if you should need them.
Please.
Down the road. You know how the Patriots used to win all those football games and go to all those playoffs and win all those Super Bowls?
Yeah.
They did lose against the Giants twice. Well, they're not going to be doing that anymore. Hey, would one of you guys get me some tea with some whiskey in it? It's a little trick us priests like to use before we go to service. Anyway,
all right.
Let me look at the service right here. We got baptism.
Yeah.
First communion.
Okay.
Marriage.
Uh-huh.
And what do you think's after marriage?
Perhaps death?
Funerals. That's right.
Perfect.
Unfortunately, I will not be able to officiate this funeral because I did a little background check on the client.
Yeah.
Checkered past. Lots of criminal activity.
Yeah.
Cheating. I just don't think that they're going to the place where I would normally send somebody. They're going somewhere else. So you might want to get Darth Vader, but since we don't have Darth Vader and we have to wing this, I think the best we can do is each one of you give your own eulogy. Starting off with the man from Fordham who is fantastic doing play-by-play on the internet, Andrew Bogish.
Father, thank you so much. I'm trying not to cry here.
Well, peace be with you.
As the poet William Martin Joel once wrote, only the good die young. And the Patriots, you certainly were good and young. You've left us far too soon, long before you could legally buy yourself some champagne to toast your unprecedented success. You saved us from the greatest threat on turf. We'd all be wearing Jake Delhomme jerseys right now if it wasn't for you. You made Donovan McNabb puke. You made Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson choke. You stopped Sean McVay's madness. And you were nice enough to let the woebegone Giants win not one, but 2 Super Bowls. And you did it all the right way. Your winning was pure, not even a hint of impropriety. Your cameras were always pointed in the right direction. Your balls always had the right PSI. You answered any and all questions from the media with elaborate thoughts and the utmost respect. So rest easy, sweet princes. We'll never see your likeness again, and thank God for that.
You should be a priest. That was seminary material.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well done, Andrew. Well done.
And now we go to Pete the Body Bellotti.
Sorry. The thought of Tom Brady not leading the charge in a 40-point blowout of my New York Jets brings a tear to my eye. As the great comedian Andy Kaufman once bellowed, a smile means friendship to everyone. The mountains are wide and the ocean divide. It's a small world after all. Tom, you are that smile to all of us. We were stunned to a news when your mere aura caused the quarterback to run into the fat ass of his guard on, of all holidays, Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I am thankful to have witnessed that with my own eyes. Before the Jacksons settled into a small city in Florida and renamed it Jacksonville.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
CBS presents this program in color.
An educated person can't think he's going to get a recruit by strippers coming in.
They can fire you, but they can't eat you.
And they run through our ass like through a tin horn, man, and we could not stop them.
The audio you need to hear. It's DA's Soundcheck.
All right. And remember that the DA Show's PGP, Permission Granted podcast, is available right now. Brand new episode as we break down He Who Shall Not Be Named making a resurgence and what to do about the NIT Bracket Challenge. That's the brand new Permission Granted podcast, the podcast about the radio show. Soundcheck begins with the CONCACAF match between the Philadelphia Union and Alianza. The soccer tournament, broadcast on FS1, has a brief interruption.
And we're going to have a stoppage here.
Oh, we got a dog on the field. That's a new... Hey, what a touch. Oh, boy. I wonder if he's going to play in the position K9.
Nope.
I mean, it's not CCL unless there's a dog on the field, right?
Tough one. Position K9.
Oh.
Do you ever have nightmares, anxiety? Have you ever over your dogs running away?
Only recently with the new puppy Ranger, not with Eli. Eli has always been very loyal and knows where the food is.
Or Jay?
Jay ran once off of a flag football field a long way. But we got him back. But now you have all the chips in the collars and everything that you could find them on your phone where they are. So, I don't know. I know other dogs are extreme runners. I really haven't had that problem.
But you fear it now with the pup?
Because he doesn't know any better yet. And I have two kids swinging the door open. So, yeah, on Sunday, I had to basically catch him on the front lawn real quickly, yell at the kids, you can't do that, you can't do that. So, but that's, once they know and they get comfortable and know, oh, this is where I get fed, this is where my toys are, usually you get a good loyal dog that's like, all right, we're good to go here. You train them.
Yeah. I don't have a dog, so I don't know, but I would imagine, like, this dog getting to a soccer stadium, hard to catch dogs if they get loose. And then if you let the dog loose and he's in a soccer stadium, how do you know you'll ever get him back?
Well, I would argue this is best case scenario if you lose your dog. Where is he? Where's Rufus? Can't find him. Turn on the TV. He's on FS1. He's in a stadium. He's crowded. Security can block him in. What you don't want is him running out in traffic through a main highway or anything like that. If I get him, in a stadium and I see that he's there, that's fine. Or somebody, you never know, somebody swoops a dog up, a loose dog, and then goes, oh, I'm keeping this dog for myself. In a stadium, a very public venue, this is the best place to lose a dog. I just wonder how he got through the gates. Like, how did the dog get here?
Yeah, did somebody bring him in with them, like, is that their dog and then he got loose in the stadium, or did he get into the stadium and his owner lives a couple of blocks away?
My guess is probably like that. I hope it's not. I've seen these at Giant games that bother me. I hope it's not one of these scenarios where you bring your Winnebago to tailgate and you bring your dog to the tailgate.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the dog's just like sitting in the RV the whole game. I mean, leave the dog home. The dog does not need to be at a tailgate.
Right.
So maybe it's one of those scenarios, breaks out at a tailgate for CONCACAF and runs into the stadium here.
You have to remember, when you have pets, they're basically captive. So you've got to treat them well.
Right.
You can't. They're like prisoners. They don't need to be sitting in Winnebagos for 4 hours. You don't need to bring them to a soccer match. They're happy probably at home in the yard, just gnawing on a rawhide bone.
Right. They're family, but also not by birthright.
Here is Clippers owner Steve Ballmer telling Clippers ticket holders they should be very excited about this new arena for one big reason.
Toilets! 1,160 toilets and urinals! 3 times the NBA average number of toilets and urinals. We do not want people waiting in line. We want them to get back to their damn seats at the end of the half before the game.
Little hard to hear there, but he's screaming about toilets.
Toilets!
He's saying how many toilets they're going to have. Way more than the average NBA arena.
3 times.
Because we don't want you waiting in line to go to the bathroom. We want you back watching the game.
I stand for this. I love this.
Yeah.
This is important.
Now, you don't necessarily need tons of toilets.
Toilets!
You do need a lot of urinals.
See, I disagree, DA, in these new stadiums.
Really?
Can I, if I may?
And you may.
The new stadiums that I've experienced, both on the road and here in locally New York, of course, I can't speak for the women's bathrooms, the men's bathrooms, have done a tremendous job in. You walk in, it's like an IKEA for urinals. They're everywhere. They're around and about. There's like turns in the bathroom. You don't even know how they fit it in the wall. How did you even get this extra room here? There's urinals everywhere. And I rarely at any packed game now wait at line for a urinal. Now, there's a line going into the bed. Once you go in, there's usually okay, now 4 urinals open. The toilets are causing the backups here for 2 reasons. You have some gun-shy people that are afraid to go at a urinal or, dare I say, an old-school trough, and they only want to go, they call it shy guys, in a toilet.
Toilets!
You know, look, like it, find it disgusting or not, we're serving a lot of heavy fried foods, and you're going to have people have to do other things in the toilet.
Well, that's a different conversation, but if you only need to tinkle, you cannot take a stall. You can't, unless you're 7 years old. Like, I remember going to the trough at 7, and I was like very nervous around big guys, very nervous around adults, and, you know, things are happening over your shoulder. You know, I get that. If it's a kid, you put them in. But if you're an adult, you cannot take up a toilet to go number 1.
I'm aware of that because we are living in a society, DA, but people are doing this. And
can't.
I promise you, DA, we don't pay attention to this. I do. Stand online at a bathroom next time you see it at a ball game or something like that, and it's out the door. Realize once you get in what's causing the backup when you see the urinals open. It's all these people congregating because the stalls are usually right by the beginning. And then you realize when you see people standing in there, oh, they're afraid to go in a urinal.
Well,
and this is why you need more toilets, Steve, because there's people like me who have 17 chicken fingers, a bucket in the 5th inning, go, you know what? I got to take care of something here. I'm not going to make it home. Or you do the old 5 minutes left in the 4th quarter. I'm not making it the hour drive home. And then you go there and people are standing in line doing number 1. You need more toilets for people like me to go to.
Okay. Toilets! With all of the big extravagant dishes and foods and meals at ballparks, I agree. Toilets are a necessity.
Toilets!
People are eating chocolate-covered bacon, covered waffle sliders, covered in whipped cream and strawberries on a stick, deep fried.
Yeah.
You're gonna need access to number 2 situations.
Yeah. 2 words: helmet nachos.
Okay, so that is fair game. But those stalls can't be taken by shy guys. If you're over the age of 10, you must use a urinal for number 1. You must. And if you're over the age of 10 and you can't, swim with the sharks. Push yourself in there. You know, maybe this is where people that worry about the masculinity of men now going down are right. That we don't know how to use our hands anymore and we don't know how to do number 1 in front of people. That is part of being a guy. You're going to be able to fix a flat and go in the urinal. You have to.
I wish I could disagree with you. Push back. I agree.
And look, you go to a trough. It's open air. You know, we all get it. It's Bratwurst Central. It's not comfortable for anybody.
Definitely not.
You know, but you're going to sit there for 5 to 6 seconds, and it's going to not come out. And you're going to be pushing, and you're going to be like, I got to relax, I got to relax, I got to relax.
And then finally, it'll come. Don't worry. And if you guys sit there 10 seconds and nothing comes out, that's fine. 15 seconds, now you're getting into weird land. But still, you've got to do it. You've got to push through that. And if that's your fear, urinating around other people in the trough or the urinal, practice at your local Little League ballpark.
I agree.
Keep practicing because you can't take up stalls by doing that stuff.
Why?
Thank you. No, but here's
What do you
the
mean,
thing.
why?
Why?
What?
Why? Like I feel comfortable going wherever, but why can't I go in a stall?
Because you're taking up extremely important resources.
Well, that's not my problem.
Yes,
No,
it
it
is.
is your
That's not
problem.
my
Yes,
problem.
you're
That's
living in a
not my problem.
community.
Okay. All right. What if I'm going number one and I have to go number two?
Well, that's a different story.
Well,
there's only
we're
one
gonna
place to go number two.
Go in the urinal?
There's only one place to go number two. But there's a million places to go number one.
It's one of the rare benefits still to being like a guy. Like the one thing you have left is, wow, I got the utensils to use a urinal. It's a fun trip. When I'm in public, I can't wait to use a urinal because it's like I don't have one of these at home. You can look at the Jumbotron. I got a big screen at home. I don't have a urinal home.
What this is like is Pete is saying, well, what happens if I only want to ride the elevator alone? I'm just going to take the elevator and tell everybody else, stay out of the elevator because I only am comfortable doing it alone.
I like
and
the
you're
elevator alone.
And you're like, well, it's not my problem. You don't have more elevator banks. No, you have to live in a community. You have to make sure you're comfortable in an elevator with people.
And let's also get to the crux of the issue here. If you are one of these people, what are you scared of? What are you scared of? Because I was there. I didn't want to go away to college for community showers and all of that. So let me speak to somebody who used to be scared of these kind of things.
Speak.
Are you scared that Tommy from Hackensack, who you'll never see again the rest of your life, is going to look down and go, oh, you're a little underperforming there?
Bingo.
That's what you're scared of? You will never see that guy again the rest of your life?
And he's not looking.
Right. They're not looking. And if he is, 3 minutes later, you're never going to see this guy again the rest of your life. And if you do, it'll be 9 years from now at a Sizzler, and he won't remember that you were the guy at MetLife Stadium at the parking lot, in the bathroom. Moving
Unless
along.
it's that small, he might be scarred for life.
And also, if you are racing up and you have that mentality where you cannot go to urinal, I got news for you. You didn't have to go that bad anyway. And you probably could have held it.
And don't go to the ballpark then.
Right.
You don't have to go to this game.
Oh, stop.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. If you cannot go to urinal, you should not be allowed in the stadium.
Then you're terrified of people. Then just stay home.
No, you're being ridiculous.
Why can't you go to the urinal?
Come on. What if
Pete, why do you need a stall to go number one?
What if you don't think about this stuff? What if you can go to a stall and go to a urinal as well? Maybe, hey, one day I don't want to use the urinal. The other day I just want to go in the stall.
I don't want to.
What about if you just want to use a stall one day?
What does that mean? I just want to use a stall.
It's just I'm going to the bathroom. Oh, hey, I want to use a stall this time and not the urinal.
So you want to eat a lollipop for dinner as well? I mean, you don't just get to do whatever you want.
Right. Whoa. What if I want to run this red light?
It's just like telling people I don't want you in my elevator. You can't do that.
You guys sometimes are terrible at comparisons. This is like running a red light, Sean. Going in the
well, but you're holding people
in the stall.
Up. Is that fair to the guy?
Guys, we've been to a million games, a million concerts. There's always lines for urinals to the point where people go into the stall to pee to beat the line of the urinal.
Different
we're
situation.
Not talking about that.
We're talking about the opposite.
But you can,
to throw that out. That's a straw man argument. Nobody's saying there's not enough urinals, so use the toilet. This is taking up a toilet because you're scared of the urine.
But my point is, there's never a run on toilets that you can't go pee in there real quick and get out of the way.
That's the whole point. Focus. You got to remove yourself from the conversation.
Okay.
That's the whole argument.
The whole argument is in
that's
these
why
new
Steve Ballmer's
stadiums.
putting in toilets because there's too many. There's not enough toilets.
There's usually you get in and there's like 6 toilets and 70 urinals, and you always walk in and then you realize the line is backed up because there's 4 open urinals and 6 people are deep on the. This happens all the time locally at these venues. I don't know what's going on at Dave Matthews concerts, and maybe you've seen that. I'm just telling you what I've seen, and it's got to stop. If you have a stomach bug, if you have a stomach bug and you're screwed because Pete the Body Bilatti's afraid to go in the urinal, is that fair?
Did I just say, you know what I just said? I did not say I was scared to go on the urinal.
But you just said you just wanted to. You didn't give us a reason.
Well, yeah, maybe one day I want to just use the toilet.
You can't just say that.
Why
Are you scared of
why
using
can't
the
I
urinal?
just say that?
Because what does that mean? Because I don't just come in here and go, guys, you know what? I'm just going to talk about horses all day. I have to talk about sports, Pete. You got to do sometimes what you don't want to do.
I'm on the line to go to the urinal or use the toilet. I can use either one to do whatever I have to.
Well, yes, you can do whatever you want any time in life. That's not the point here. The point is you're taking up resources from somebody that needs them and you don't need it.
Am I
wrong?
taking up? I'm the next person in line. How am I taking up a resource?
This is the whole conversation,
That's
Pete.
not
The
the
Pete is there's not
argument.
enough toilets. There's too many urinals. You're not listening?
No, but
Nobody's saying if
Nobody's
there's
listening here.
Nobody's saying if the next thing available is, and you're the next person in line, there's a urinal toilet, I prefer the toilet. What we're saying is if there's 4 open urinals and there's lines at the stalls and you're afraid to use the urinal, you're doing this wrong if somebody really needs a stall.
And my point was that I wasn't allowed to make is that I still have never seen people waiting to go into the stall. There's always open stalls.
Well, you and I have gone to completely different venues. I'm
Yeah.
telling you what I've experienced a lot at these games.
And your bowels, as ridiculous as they are, don't get to decide the ratio of what Pete gets to do.
No, we're mixing up everything. We're making this
You
thing
told
personal.
Pete he can't go to a game because
If he's scared to go to the urinal, yes.
that's ridiculous.
That means you're
That's
scared
the most
to be.
ridiculous thing said in this
Can I ask
entire
you
conversation.
mean you're scared to be in public then?
Why can't anyone go in the bathroom where they want to?
Because you're taking up resources from people that are waiting. That's the point of this argument. That if there is a line of people waiting for the toilet, we're not talking about your situation where there's nobody in the ballpark. If there is a line of people waiting to use the toilet and you take up the toilet to go number 1 and there's open urinals, you're taking up resources from people that could use them when you could use something else.
Okay, but my point still remains. I've had to go to the bathroom at games, and I've never had to wait for a stall.
Okay, but that situation is not what we're talking about.
But
Steve Ballmer's
it is.
No, Steve Ballmer's not putting in 3 times as many toilets because there's tons of toilets available to everybody. Why do you think he's doing this? Why do you think that's a point here?
I hear what you're saying. I don't know why you're not hearing mine. I get it. I've seen the place where there's 30 urinals and 3 toilets, so I see the ratio being off. I still, though, have always seen an empty stall for Sean having to run in because he just had 74,000 calories in one sitting.
So you've been to a million games, so Steve Ballmer has an experience that is unlike anything you've ever experienced.
No, I think that you are being way too harsh on people who want to go to the bathroom in the stall.
Why do you think Steve Ballmer's doing this? What do you think his rationale
I'm sure
is?
Steve Ballmer has numbers or whatever he thought about. Fine, but again, doesn't mean it's necessary to do this.
Okay, well, so now we're going to take something that an arena did.
Dia, you told Pete not to go to a game instead of peeing in a urinal.
Hold on. We're going to take a guy who's worth $10-20 billion, who has assessed the needs of a major municipality and is building a multi-$100 million, billion-dollar arena. He has assessed that there is a necessary need for 3 times the toilets because people are in line waiting. He cites this to get back to the seat. And you're saying it's unnecessary. He's wrong due to my observation.
What if he's doing it for more people that want to use the urinal, use the toilet than the urinal?
Whatever the case
is.
is.
A number 2 problem?
Whatever the case is.
No, not whatever the case, because you're saying people that want to pee in urinals are wrong.
Yes, because that's why we need extra toilets.
Is it?
Well, no. Okay, so everybody's crapping their pants at every game.
I mean, maybe Sean says he's the voice of millions.
Okay, if that's the case, yes. Let's just say it's because America's overweight. We're eating terrible things at ballparks. Stadium foods are going crazy. And let's just say everybody has to go number 2, okay?
Yeah.
If everybody has to go number 2 and we need more toilets, if you're going number 1 where the people need to go number 2, you're doing it wrong.
I still disagree. I still think that you were allowed to pee in a stall if you want to. You're allowed to have privacy. You just are for whatever reason, whether you're scared, whether you make weird noises when you pee, whether you have problems and the pee comes out in shots. Like, you're allowed to pee in a urinal.
Okay.
I'll die on this hill with Pete.
Okay. If that's the case, Pete, that you're either shy, you're scared, or you make weird noises, is that your reason? Or your reason is just you just want to do what you want to do?
You're on the line to do what you have to do, right?
Yeah.
Why do I have to take an inventory of the people behind me of what
or a questionnaire, ask what they're doing?
So we don't live in a society where you care about other people's needs?
I care about other people's needs, but you know what? I'm next on this line I'm waiting on.
Right.
If I have to go do what I have to do, I have the right to pick which one I want to go with.
Being selfish. That's what it is. It comes down to you guys being selfish.
It takes like 19
It's being totally
seconds.
selfish. It's just a selfish, self-absorbed, self-indulgent American society that you guys are in the middle of.
19 seconds, a long time if you've had a lot of tacos at a game. I'm telling you right now.
Then don't eat like that.
So I can't eat like I want to eat at a ball game because you're afraid to use the urinal. What if, by the way, okay, 4 urinals open, 5 people deep at every stall. What if I pulled down my pants and I did what I had to do in a urinal? I'd get removed from the stadium.
That's
Good.
right.
Well, you shouldn't be
That's
doing
right.
that.
Not the same
Well, I'm
thing.
being forced to do it
but
because
what
you're
the
afraid to
point-
use the urinal.
What the point that Bogus and Bellotti are making is that you guys don't need to abide by societal rules.
No, you've decided this is a societal rule.
Well, what we're saying is if there's an obvious need for toilets, it's because people need the toilets. That's why Steve Ballmer's doing this. If you need to take up a toilet to do something you could do elsewhere, you are being selfish.
I don't.
You're thinking about yourself.
No. Well, yeah, but in a way that you're allowed to.
Well, don't you every day make courtesy decisions?
Yes, and I don't think
That's a courtesy.
And I don't think it's a required courtesy.
Do you hold a door open for somebody?
I do, yes.
For old people, do you wait till they walk across before blowing through a red light?
Yes, and
or a green light.
And I don't think that this is on par with that. The 15 or 20 or 30 seconds, and I'm going to go number one in a stall. If that inconveniences somebody that significantly, 4 guys back in line in the bathroom, like that's not. I don't. That math does not add up for me. I can get in and out of the stall, and you can then go in there for 30. Like, should I tell Sean to not take a 35-minute visit because somebody else has to go?
Yes.
All right, fine.
Yes.
If you're going to give
a
me
guy
that
that uses the stall should not be in there for 35 minutes.
Okay,
yeah,
then if you're going to give me that, then I'll
absolutely.
No,
it's
I'll
about
give you some acceptance here
general
too.
courtesy at a ballpark or in a societal communal place. You do have. Everybody does this. It's like, if you're at a Dave Matthews Band concert,
yeah.
If you were 7 feet tall, you wouldn't stand in the front row. If there was a kid behind you,
if there was a kid behind me, sure. And I feel like and I've been in the bathroom where I've let a dad but that's not the same thing as me wanting to go in a stall.
But it's shades of it. It's shades of being courtesy to people that need something.
But what's the I don't understand.
Of course, it's a courtesy. Number 2 can only happen there. Your number 1 can happen there.
Right, but like Pete said, if we're all in a line, why can I not go in a stall? If we're all there,
because
am
you
I
have
supposed
two
to
options.
ask everyone behind me what they're doing?
No, but that's the assumption is that if you're going to be in line, like I'm saying, if you're making up this rule, it is if you
guys are making up the rule.
If you're going number 1, there's your 10 urinals. If you're going number 2, there's your 3 stalls. That's how it should break down.
But I still think that you have my permission to use the stall.
I think it's about courtesy.
Yeah, and Bogus, just one pushback because we don't need to carry on forever about this. Poor Boyle's going to get pushed from sound check. My point was the lines that back up out the concourses in there. When you get to a bathroom, look, you can deny us all you want. Inevitably, when you get up, the first thing you see is the stalls and then urinals everywhere. People congregate waiting online in the stalls. You're saying, well, I'm next up. I'm ready for a stall. You're acting as if that's a simple one-for-one deal. You could easily go stand online behind somebody on a urinal and push these lines in. People are choosing to wait online for the stalls.
Okay, and so that's a specific thing. And if there were 2 lines, I would not go cutting across in front of people who are waiting to go into a stall. But if you're on one line waiting for something to open, the only way that you're inconveniencing somebody is if the person next to you has to go number 2 and you don't. And am I going to ask everyone that's next to me what they want to do in the bathroom?
Take it like a deli counter. What are you doing?
But the point is that if we did establish these bylaws, then everybody in line for the stall would have to go number 2. Then you would know that.
Right. And if there are separate lines, like everyone chooses the line they want to be on. But I still think if you want to go pee in a stall, you can get online with the stall guys.
Look, if I'm going to get kicked out of the stadium for doing the other thing in a urinal, you should get kicked out of a stadium for doing that.
Nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do with that. Come on.
But what does it have to do? Jumping to a red light argument too.
It's exactly what if you feel comfortable one day going into a stall to do number 1, you should have every right to go in the stall to do number 1.
Yes.
Hey, look, every time, usually when I go to the bathroom in a public facility, as everyone wants to know this, I will step aside if people want to use the stall.
That's nice of you. That's the courtesy.
That's what I do, and I wait for the urinal. But I should have the right, if I want to one day, hey, I want to go use a stall, I should be able to use a stall. It shouldn't be an issue.
Look, all I know is if you
put
go out...
in more of them, so we have no problem.
Right,
well,
that's what Ballmer is doing.
Hey, look, if you go out in public as a man and you see a urinal that you don't have at home and don't use it, it's like going to the Cheesecake Factory and not sticking around for the cheesecake.
Get a life, all right?
Why would you do
Find
that?
another hill to die on, really. I mean...
he's actually going to die on this hill.
This is
literally,
exactly
probably.
what you're thinking about. I'm thinking about going in and going out. It doesn't matter. This guy had a big pleasure cruise going in there to use the stall.
Right.
Because
You're
you
gonna
had 500 tacos.
Right, and spend 30 minutes on your phone trolling Eagles fans,
That
doing
you
something
shouldn't do either.
disgusting.
That you shouldn't do.
Right.
500 beers, everything.
I don't like those people that go into an office stall, stadium stall, and just pop open their phone and sit there for 15 minutes. I don't like that either.
Well, you know what? If
Courtesy.
it was 20 years ago, we would have been cracking open the USA Today. But you know what? Now the newspaper's on our phones.
No, that's the courtesy the other way. You got to move along. You got to let other people in.
I agree. But, okay, fine. Bottom line is this. We end this with D.A. and me are right. Boyle gets pushed from sound check. Bogusch and Peter wrong.
We're gonna have to do Boyle next hour. Bogusch, I don't know if you have time for the headlines, so do we have a read?
We don't have a read, so we can skip it if you want.
This is up to Pete.
We got to take a break.
Okay, we'll take a break. When we come back here on the show, I was going to do the Brandon Miller story, but maybe that'll wait till next hour as well. That seems kind of an important one. Read some tweets on this at DA on CBS. This is the DA show on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
It's Alliance Prime Time, and it starts now.
Woo! Week 1 is in the books. A good Monday morning. I'm Andrew Bogusch alongside my mortal enemy, Sean Marash. Week 1 in the AAF is done. You ready for this, TJ?
Andrew, let's go, baby. A great weekend of football. Can't wait to get into it. 1
full week without football. The drought ended Saturday afternoon deep in the heart of Texas and in beautiful Central Florida. The AAF on the field for the first time. The Fleet, the Commanders, the Legends, and the Apollos. So many firsts on Saturday. The first points from Atlanta kicker Young-Ho Koo, Koo-Koo-Kachoo. And then the first near felonious assault from Sean Washington.
Bercovici never saw the man coming, and he is lit up. My goodness.
Could the league have asked for a better start, Andrew? You get Bercovici's head nearly taken off after a season in the NFL where all of that was a penalty, no flag on the play. Off and rolling we were in San Antonio.
Good news, bad news, though. Mike Bercovici in this Fleet, he survived that hit to keep doing this.
Bercovici on 3rd and 20 to the end zone. It's intercepted. Orion Stewart on the pick, and he's still going.
The moment Washington signed Josh Johnson off the Fleet roster, the number 1 pick in the quarterback draft, Mike Martz knew this position was going to be a problem, and right off the jump, you saw Bercovici couldn't stay on his feet, head on a swivel literally, and threw 2 back-breaking interceptions.
The sack, the 2 picks, and then some offense from the Commanders.
The one-play call, and it is Farrow into the end zone for the San Antonio touchdown.
You'll be telling your grandkids this one day. Kenneth Mia Farrow scored the first touchdown in Commanders history. San Antonio beat San Diego 15-6 in front of almost 28,000 people.
Yeah, and the fans deserve that, Bogusch. Sitting there on their feet all game long, not getting a touchdown till the 4th quarter. And truly the best part about this, the aerial attack by Logan Woodside in the pocket all game long. But it's the ground game that gets it done and gets the first touchdown. A balanced attack San Antonio has, and San Antonio does. They commanded that ball game.
Saturday's other game was in Orlando. The Apollos hosting the Legends. O-Town scored the first TD in Alliance history.
Gilbert, end zone, caught! Did he hang on? He did! No! Jalen Marshall had it.
He had it, Andrew Catalan. Don't worry, replay got it right. Jalen Marshall making history. If we learned one thing, Shawnee, during opening weekend, it's that Orlando head coach Steve Spurrier watched Super Bowl L double stripe.
Reverse, Marshall throwing it back, and it's caught for the touchdown! The Orlando special!
And I tell you what I loved about this call, most importantly, was that Steve
1 minute,
was not
30
afraid
seconds
to
remaining.
use Garrett Gilbert's strength. He had thrown the ball all over the yard all game long, getting all receivers involved, but he was stumped on a 4th and 1 earlier in the game with his legs, but he comes back now and he's catching a pass. If you have that kind of versatility under center, Steve Spurrier he's going to use it. Great effort out of Garrett Gilbert and jaw-dropping play with the Orlando special.
Offense, and then some on Paulo's D as well.
First down. Oh, Sims is leveled.
There might be a reason to put him in that. Holy cow.
That was the biggest hit we've seen of the night.
Minute
Check is
remaining.
clean.
$45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Are still raging about this behind the scenes. Absolutely raging about this debate behind the scenes.
You guys thinking about this? It's like, just take a vacation. Like, this should not be a discussion. Make 2 lines and be done with it.
Pete is killing me. My sides hurt from Pete. He's going, yeah, there's a sign up in the stadium. No pepper games, then your damn bathroom rules.
I never. This is one of the worst ones.
Oh, my God. Troy tweets, we fought 2 wars for the freedom of peeing in either the urinal or the toilet.
Thanks, Troy. I appreciate it.
But Keith says, well, you don't park in a handicap spot just because nobody's waiting to park there.
Oh, come on.
It's a good one.
Okay. Nothing to do with a handicap spot. You should be thrown in jail for parking in a handicap spot if you don't have a sticker.
Chris tweets, oh, my God, this has been the best 9 minutes of sports radio ever. I'm not sure I'd qualify it as that, but it's qualified as something, perhaps. On the 12 DAs, Squishy Liquid says, man, DA, you're so far off on this. None of you mentioned women, which is where the line is always longer. Well, there's no choice that women can make, so that's not really the conversation here. We're talking about the men's stalls and urinals, where Mraz and I believe if you have to go number 1, you should not use the stalls to allow those lines to move quickly for the people that need the stalls. Whereas Bogish and Bellotti are fighting the fight that you should have the freedom of choice to do either one.
I didn't think this would be a hard argument.
I'll read more of the tweets on this and get to your phone calls on this coming up here next. We still have to play the Pat Boyle audio. I still have to get to the Brandon Miller story. And we've also got Brad Korn, Southeast Missouri State head coach, whose Red Hawks are dancing into the NCAA tournament. All coming up here next in the third hour.
You're in a 5-minute break.
This audio courtesy of NOLA.com. So, which center does he like working with best? In other words, whose butt does he like to have his hands under?
I can just tell you what you look for in a center as far as that. So what you want is a nice, like, plump bottom. Yeah. Something to put your surface area to put your hands on. Nice little warm. So then you want them to feel you. You know, as much as I love Will and as great a football player as he is, he doesn't have the biggest bottom. And I think you guys would see that. But him and I have really worked toward it. So I found a nice surface area to put my hands on. And Lloyd and I are coming along. So Lloyd and I didn't get a ton of snaps together in the spring, but Lloyd and I are really coming along, especially in the past couple days.
So I like this. If you're a quarterback, you like a nice plump bottom, as he said. Mraz, what do you think constitutes the best rear end for an offensive lineman?
I would think you want a firm bottom because you don't want your hand getting stuck there. Like if the ball comes out and your hand, all it takes that little extra cushion and your hand doesn't react quickly to the ball, that's going to be a fumble. But if you have a firm bottom and it kind of just bounces right off, you're great, you're good to go, and you're going to get the snap right away. So I think you need a firm bottom to prevent fumbles.
But you need a big bottom because at center, it's an offensive lineman. So a guy with skinny hips, a small bottom, is not going to help you out in terms of blocking.
Yeah, you need a gigantic round rumpus for sure, but the point is it's got to be a muscular rumpus. You know what I mean? We could go round and muscular, but that's the way it's got to be. It can't be round and flabby, and it can't be small and flabby. We need both round and firm.
We need a big, round, firm rumpus is what you're telling me.
Yes. Round, firm, rumpus, you'll be a perennial Pro Bowler.
Okay. What type of diet or what type of workouts do you need to do to get that type of big, round, wide, firm rumpus?
I would say you need to squat at least 3 times a week and
Oh.
lots of proteins. Now, Now, I don't mind the starches in there if you're eating a lot of mashed potatoes, but you don't want the Kevin Booth mashed potato behind. You need a lot of chickens, maybe a little red meat, some fish in there, but a lot of
fish.
A lot of intake on any protein you could do, but good proteins, which will make you round and firm.
Is that the same in the flag football world?
Well, I got to be honest. I love our center, but he's got a real flabby rump, and we have to run a lot of shotgun because of that.
Yeah.
A nice, plump bottom.
Because the thing is, you don't know if, with the flabby rumpus, if the quarterback can get it out without some type of
Fumble.
friction.
Let's call it a miscommunication. Yes, that's what will awfully happen.
So you guys got to go shotgun because you've got a flabby rumpus
Right.
center.
Well, when you have one too many Oreo McFlurries, next thing you know, you're not firm, you're jiggling.
A nice, plump bottom.
Nice plump bottom. Yeah.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
CBS Sports Radio.
Live from CBS Radio Studios in New York City, it's the DA Show with your host, Damon Amendolara, featuring producer Mraz and the musical sounds of the Zap Zap Orchestra. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's DA.
And happy Wednesday to you, everybody. DA with you here on CBS Sports Radio. The debate rages on to the newsroom now. This is spilled out into the newsroom. This is like when there's a fight that breaks out in a bar and it spills out onto the sidewalk and then more people get involved out in the street because there's some strays. We have been yelling about this for the last half hour.
Because you guys are nuts.
And now it is spilled out into the newsroom of people not even with the show. We'll get to that debate coming up here shortly. I've got thoughts on the SEC Player of the Year, thoughts on Pat Boyle breaking the Danny Dimes news, and so much more. But first off, let's calm the choppy waters here. It's time for some mid-major mothership.
It's DA's Mid-Major Mothership. Only on CBS Sports Radio.
9 seconds. Thompson fires a three. No good. 4 seconds. 3. The clock will run out. That is a wrap. SEMO is going to the dance. They are going to the dance for the second time in school history. The Red Hawks have won the OVC tournament title. The Red Hawks are the champions.
Oh, what a great final call. SEMO being Southeast Missouri State winning the OVC Ohio Valley Conference Tournament Championship with an emotional 89-82 overtime win over Tennessee Tech. Joining us this morning on the show is head coach Brad Korn. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. And I'll tell you what, I've listened to that a couple times now, and it still doesn't. It's not going to get old.
Man, oh man, and what a game that it was. 6 different lead changes, 5 ties during the game. There were people crying in the stands. Tell me about the emotions of back and forth of this championship game.
Yeah, I mean, you're just talking about both teams. I mean, Tech, it's been since 1963 since they've gone to the NCAA tournament. So I think both programs, all the kids, coaches knew what was at stake. And just to have a game like that, just the first ticket punched for the tournament, and ESPN to prime time Saturday night. I mean, just all the scripts that you could write. The game followed every single one of them. We're up 7 with a minute and a half, and we give the lead away. Then they hit an unbelievable shot. Is it a 2? Is it a 3? We had some of our players crying, and then to come back and win that game. And I mean, it's the exact epitome of what March Madness is all about. And to kick it off that way and for us to be victorious, it's we're still on cloud 9.
What have people around campus, alumni, reached out to you and said?
Just the sheer joy. I played at SIU. I coached at SIU, which is about an hour away from this campus. So I'm familiar with the region and the area and the people that are around here. They understand basketball. They've wanted the program to do well and to be well for a long time now. And so for them to finally be able to say, we're going to the tournament, this is what we thought our program could be. It's just been a lot of pride and a lot of joy to see the faces of people. And that's the most important thing. Obviously, our kids to be able to see. Those are things I remember when I went to the tournament. This will be my 10th tournament as a player, as a coach. And you never take those things for granted. These experiences, the build-up, going through and getting coffee yesterday morning, the people at the store saying congrats. Social media has made it made yourselves accessible more so than ever before. So I think the one cool thing, I've been in Carbondale, Illinois, I've been in Manhattan, Kansas, I've been in Springfield, Missouri, now Cape Girardeau, and it's just to be in a small town college, it just makes it that much better because everyone feels that they have a piece in it and a part of it, and that's exactly what we want here.
You guys were the 5 seed in the OVC tournament, and so the odds were stacked against you to win all of those games against higher seeds. What was your team's attitude entering the tourney?
Yeah, we just, we tied for 3rd. We've kind of had an up and down year. We've battled a bunch of injuries and illnesses. I think we had 2 practices with our whole roster all season long. So I think our guys always knew we had this potential in us. I thought we knew we had a good team. But before we left, we just said, hey, guys, if you're not going to pack for 4 days, don't get on the bus. If you don't think we can win 4 games in 4 days, don't get on this bus. And UT Martin was the only team in league play that we hadn't beaten, So I think our guys had a lot of confidence that we could beat anybody because we had in the regular season. So they just had a lot of confidence. I'll tell you what, they had a calmness about them. Our guys had a calmness about them. They had a steely, laser focus, kind of just never too high, never too low. I was a little bit worried going into the championship how they'd maybe be acting that morning before, but they were the exact same as they were on Wednesday morning. So give our guys a ton of credit for just knowing it was at stake, but not letting the moment be too big.
Southeast Missouri State is located about an hour, 45 minutes south of St. Louis, and they are dancing into the NCAA tournament. For you, as you said, you've been there as a player and as an assistant coach, but as a head coach, you have yet to be there. So I'm sure the guys will have some jitters or some butterflies. Do you think you will be on the sidelines as well in this game?
You know what? Yeah. I mean, I probably will. It's what an experience. You know, like I said, it never gets old. I tell the guys all the time, and even years past when we first got here, it was like I'm trying to explain to them just how much the tournament. It smells different. The balls feel like they came from a different place. The floor squeaks different. Your shoes are different. It just everything feels different. It's just it is obviously the pinnacle and of what we try to do, and so I don't doubt that there'll be a little bit of jitters, and rightfully so, because again, I'm not, and our players aren't gonna act like it's not a big deal, because it is. But again, once that ball goes up in the air, then we get down to business and do what we do.
You know, you're right. Having been to NCAA tournament games, everything is different, and it does smell different. Now that you say that, I wonder what that is. What do you think that is about NCAA tournament games that smell different?
You know what? I've been all over with the tournament, and it's just all the arenas. You know, they take down all the signage, and all you see is the NCAA. The floor is brand new, painted. It feels like the baskets it feels like everything was literally just opened, like a brand new package that day. It's like Christmas. It's basketball Christmas.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That's the stuff that I remember as a player. It's like you walk into the arena, it's like, man, I've never seen these kind of light balls before. It's like, where do these basketballs come from? I've never seen these kind of balls before. And everything is the same, but you just have so many people around. The floor is brand new and painted, and so and people just treat you like gold. And so I think it's just the aura of all of it, and that's what everybody loves about the tournament, and everybody loves March for those reasons.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's like that brand new car smell. You know,
yeah, exactly.
You play in all these old gyms for the entire season, then you get to this big, huge NBA arena or a big conference arena, and then suddenly you're like, oh man, this is all so new. The banners look new, everything looks new. It's a pretty cool description. So, what will your weekend look like? How will you guys get guys together for Selection Sunday to see where you're going and where you're seated?
Yeah, we're going to open up our arena, the Show Me Center, and we're inviting the public in. We want as many people to come out and be a part of this as possible. You know, we had a good little home crowd all season long. People were slowly coming back and watching us play. So for me, this is an opportunity to bridge. You know, we've always tried to bridge that gap between the community and our players. And this is a great opportunity. Like I said before, a small community, and to be able to have everybody take part in that. I think that's the way to do it. And again, it's something that I remember as a player that Coach Weber did at SIU, is we held a selection show, viewing party type thing in the arena, and just invited everybody in. And it's those experiences, and you want people to feel a part of it, especially in a small town, to just continue to have that support, continue to have that backing. We've got some momentum now, and we just need to capitalize as much as possible. And I believe you guys are coming. I believe the truck is going to be here. We're going to have a live feed, and I mean, we just want to turn this thing into as much as a celebration as possible, because you don't take it for granted. I mean, 23 years obviously is a long time, and hopefully we get to go again in the next 23 years, but you just never know. It really is that hard.
Yeah, well, that's so cool. The CBS TV trucks will be there. Southeast Missouri State, winners of the OVC Tournament Championship, going into March Madness for the first time in more than 2 decades. Head coach Brad Korn in his 3rd season at the helm. Congratulations. The Red Hawks are dancing. Can't wait to see where you guys go, man.
That sounds good. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Brad Korn joining us this morning here on the show. We love doing Mid-Major Mothership. Monday, we did Fairleigh Dickinson. Yesterday, we did Kennesaw State. Today, the Red Hawks of Southeast Missouri State. You got to love it.
Yeah, I'm working on the Furman Hermans for tomorrow.
We're just checking off the boxes of the great stories of March Madness. That's the beautiful thing about March, is that these communities and these teams, these players, these schools get to taste something that feels so big time, even though, you know, if you're a fan of Duke or Kansas, or, you know, you are so used to going to the tournament, just clinching a berth in the tournament means so little. You need to make Sweet 16s, Elite 8s, Final Fours, national championships.
for these schools, this is where they're on the map for a moment. This is the week of magic. And sometimes they turn it into a couple of weeks of magic, you know? And so that's such a beautiful part of March Madness and why we love highlighting these types of programs, because, you know, we're on 200 affiliates or whatever that is, more than that. And we're in a lot of places where the college basketball team isn't UCLA. It's Southeast Missouri State. So I love these types of stories. I love these types of coaches and players. And we've done this since we were doing the overnights, because back then, these were the coaches that would actually talk to us. But now it's just something that I love doing. I love talking to these coaches and highlighting these teams. So love it. On the flip side of the coin of the feel good is Brandon Miller, who is one of the best players in the nation, playing for one of the best teams in the nation for Alabama, who allegedly delivered the weapon used in the murder involved with the Alabama team. And despite him being in the middle of all of this hot water and media scrutiny and fan criticism, etc., he ends up being named the AP Player of the Year and Newcomer of the Year in the SEC. So he's the SEC Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year. And that's obviously a big deal. Brandon Miller's been excellent, the best player on a team that is probably a 1 seed, has designs on winning a national championship, which is a crazy thing for Alabama Crimson Tide hoops. A Final Four is totally realistic, and Miller is maybe the most important part of it. And so with him in the middle of the investigation on the murder case, teammate Darius Miles involved in the shooting death of Jamea Harris, does Brandon Miller, should he be rewarded with awards and honors like this? And the answer is, unfortunately, yes. It's not comfortable. It's not tidy and neat, but neither is life. And in this case, this is a vote on basketball prowess. It's not a vote on ethics, morality, decision-making, off the floor. You know, it's why O.J. Simpson's still in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, I'm not saying that these two are A and A, but what I am saying is when you have honors devoted to only the sports and nothing else, you have to keep it as such. There are compartments to these things, and it doesn't feel good for Brandon Miller to be honored as the Player of the Year. It doesn't feel righteous. It doesn't feel correct that here he is awarded this grand honor. At the same time, you can't, this is not a vote about anything but how he was as a basketball player. As he was as a basketball player was really good. As he was as a citizen, as he was allegedly as a student athlete, as he was as a teammate, as he was as an ambassador for a program, as he was as a young member of the society around campus, as he was all of those things, allegedly deserves no honors, deserves no leash, deserves no applause. But as a basketball player, that's what this is a vote on. You can't take that away from him for this moment. Let's see how the coverage of Alabama goes. You know, CBS, who's been in bed with the NCAA tournament for how many decades, and Turner love to put the happy bow on everything because March Madness is supposed to be a 1-month celebration of college basketball. Nobody wants the ugly stories. That's not what they want to do. I don't know how you broadcast Alabama games and avoid discussing or touching on the fact that a player that played on this team this year allegedly murdered another human being. I don't know how you get around Brandon Miller, the most important player, delivering the gun that was used in that. I don't know how you ignore that or avoid that. We'll see. But it's usually a month of, can you believe how hardworking these kids are and how great this head coach is and how happy the alumni are and look at that student section. And you can't tell the story of Alabama basketball this year by just using those things. Okay, when we come back on the show, man, we have had so much to get to that we've got to play the Pat Boyle sound. That's first and foremost, because the Boyle sound is amazing coming up here next. The guy's breaking news and still has a number in his handle, his social media handles. This could be an issue. We're going to talk about that and the storm of tweets that have come in over the controversy of the day, which perhaps on March 8th locked up a top 3 spot in the 12 DAs of Christmas. This is the DA Show. I'm laughing as Pete the Body throws a wadded up piece of paper at me. The DA Show on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Number 5, Halloween is a big deal for you. How many Halloween costumes are you preparing this year?
6.
Half a dozen?
Yeah, half a dozen.
How many events do you have to go to?
We'll make up events if we have to. There's Instagram now. You pretend you're going to an event.
Will you ever wear 2 different costumes on the same day?
Absolutely not.
So one costume one day.
Oh, wait, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant rewear to another event.
No.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. I could do a double.
So you do one costume early in the day, one costume later in the day?
100%.
So you'll have 6 different days and or events to dress up.
I mean, that's what I have so far.
Yeah. And have you planned all of them?
Kind of. Yeah, I've got some. There's room for more. I mean, there's 31 days in the month.
Okay, so this is what my request is. If you could come back, I will dress up in my Halloween costume. And if you come back, you dress up in one of the 6 of yours.
Yes.
And we'll do a segment together.
Oh my gosh, I already know which one it's going to be.
Okay, perfect.
This is going to be great.
Number 6, what is your favorite costume that you've ever done?
My mom always makes my costumes. I would have to say that the Krang costume was one of my favorites.
The brain from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
And I literally did interviews at Comic-Con in it. And people were like, what the heck? And then this one time I did Poison Ivy, half disease, half the actual character. And people thought I seriously had like a problem. And I wouldn't let it go. Yeah. They thought I was like all jacked up. And I wouldn't like tell them that, it was just makeup. It was special effects. So people thought I was nuts. But I was conducting those interviews fully straight on.
So this is amazing. Your mom will make you...
My mom's a costumer.
And she will make you 6 costumes this year?
Oh, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's legit.
So how did she make Krang, the brain from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
She made it completely from scratch, and I had like a little silver box with Krang the brain in it. It was awesome.
My.
I mean, this goes way back. I was the first person to have a light up dress. Like this costuming is Linendahl intense.
I would say. Dinner of ox roast and then a night as Krang.
We keep it going in our family, okay? Yep.
Number 5, Halloween is a big deal for you. How many Halloween costumes are you preparing this year?
6.
Half a dozen?
Yeah, half a dozen.
How many events do you have to go to?
We'll make up events if we have to. There's Instagram now. You pretend you're going to an event.
Will you ever wear 2 different costumes on the same day?
Absolutely not.
So one costume one day.
Oh, wait, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant rewear to another event.
No.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. I could do a double.
So you do one costume early in the day, one costume later in the day?
100%.
So you'll have 6 different days and or events to dress up.
I mean, that's what I have so far.
Yeah. And have you planned all of them?
Kind of. Yeah, I've got some. There's room for more. I mean, there's 31 days in the month.
Okay, so this is what my request is. If you could come back, I will dress up in my Halloween costume. And if you come back, you dress up in one of the 6 of yours.
Yes.
And we'll do a segment together.
Oh my gosh, I already know which one it's going to be.
Okay, perfect.
This is going to be great.
Number 6, what is your favorite costume that you've ever done?
My mom always makes my costumes. I would have to say that the Krang costume was one of my favorites.
The brain from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
And I literally did interviews at Comic-Con in it. And people were like, what the heck? And then this one time I did Poison Ivy, half disease, half the actual character. And people thought I seriously had like a problem. And I wouldn't let it go. Yeah. They thought I was like all jacked up. And I wouldn't like tell them that, it was just makeup. It was...
One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Where death by salsa is the least of your concerns. The DA Show on CBS Sports Radio.
Brand new PGP is out. Check it out. We might need an emergency PGP after today's show. But the Permission Granted podcast, the podcast about the radio show, the show about the show is available right now for your downloadable pleasure on the free Odyssey app. Also inside any of your favorite podcast platforms. We'll get back into the debate that rages and burns like a wildfire here in a few moments. But first, I wanted to play this audio for you guys. We had to bump it at a sound check because of the argument. But yesterday, Pat Boyle, somehow, was this before anybody in New York, any of the Giants beat writers or Schefter or Ian Rappaport had this?
Yes, because nobody had it until 15 minutes before the deadline because it got done that late. So everybody got it at the same time. But Pat Boyle at 2 o'clock in the afternoon tweets that he's being told the deal will get done before the deadline.
Okay, so you have to realize Pat Boyle is not a newsbreaker. Boyle is not a reporter for anybody. He is not covering games. We had no idea he even had a source, let alone sources. And hours before Daniel Jones inks a 4-year, $160 million deal with the Giants, hours before, he tweets out, "My sources say the deal is about to get done." I love Pat. We all know I love Pat. I'll go to the mat for Pat. But it got like 4 likes. Nobody believed it.
Right.
Or nobody saw it.
So this is an enormous story that the New York media didn't have. Boyle had it, and nobody believed it. Here,
I have a Giants following. I wouldn't even retweet it.
Wait, you actually chose not to retweet it?
I saw it at 2 o'clock, and I was like, I can't send this to my Giant fan following.
I mean, seriously, I saw this as well around 3 o'clock, and I checked everybody else to see if this was a thing, and I saw it nowhere, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything with this. I don't want to retweet something that's wrong, and I'm like, how could Boyle have the source on this? Boyle's not even a Giants fan. I don't know how he would have a source on this. Anyway, here is the afternoon show on WFAN in New York, right here down the hallway, who's the flagship home of the New York Giants.
By the way, I don't know if we trust this source, so tell me, do you trust someone named Pat Boyle? Do we trust at Pat Boyle 44?
No, clearly not.
Because Pat Boyle says, done deal, Jones and Giants.
He's funny.
Good job, Pat.
Done deal. Everybody's trying to be first now, even our own Pat Boyle. Here's Tommy in Morris Park on the Fan. Tommy, what's good with you today, kid?
Blue.
Hey, what's up,
Blue
Tommy?
23. Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Your coverage of the Daniel Jones signing was Nixon, Frostonian. The only thing missing was you guys throwing banana cream pies at each other. And I guess Popeye Boyle becomes a Giant folk hero. The only problem is Popeye Boyle doesn't really like football. His sports are rugby and cricket. And this signing is great.
So, I mean, just a joke. It's just a big laugh session on the flagship home of the Giants. And then it ends up that he's right. Do we know how Boyle was right on this? Has he told anybody the story?
He will not. And I can guess based on conversations I've had with Boyle in the past, and I don't know that this is his source by any means. I get the vibe that Boyle may run in the same drinking circles in Hoboken where he lives with Daniel Jones's friends.
Oh, my God.
See, I was thinking one of the Boyle clan, the ladies who were mad about the possible absence, like was an agent's like
Could be.
assistant or like saw the fax machine.
Okay.
Like I thought that like Boyle's exploit somehow got him into this ring.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's entirely possible. And I have had news break twice when I was really young, like Boyle was in the business, and had John Heyman yell at me about it. So I hope this went better for Boyle. But, it's distinctly possible. The problem is Boyle didn't have any figures in him. But look, he had something. He went with it. And by the way, he could have been tagged and he could have looked like a clown. He went with it. He was right.
So what we're also all agreeing is that Boyle is not working sources. He's not going to training camps or practices. He's not going to MetLife. He's not texting people on the side for what do you think is going to happen. He's either drinking with buddies of Daniel Jones or sleeping with ladies that might have internal information within an agent's office or something.
Works for the Giants, but it's definitely a Hoboken young person connection.
Yes. He lives like 2 blocks from where Daniel Jones lives.
Right.
Blocks.
For the record, Daniel Jones signs this deal, okay? And again, hours before it's done, Pat Boyle at 1:57 Eastern time. So this is minimum 2 hours before the deadline and at least 90 minutes, right, before the deal is reported.
Yes, at least 90 minutes.
I'm told the Giants and Daniel Jones will agree on long-term terms on a long-term deal, barring a last-minute setback in negotiations before the 4 o'clock franchise tag deadline. Even now, the first tweet, Schefter, Rappaport, anybody didn't have it, only has 22 likes and 3 quote tweets. It was only retweeted once, probably by Boyle himself.
One of the quote tweets was definitely him because he quoted me and said, "I'm usually not first, but I was today."
He broke the biggest story in NFL in the NFL yesterday. I would say it's bigger than Lamar Jackson because we knew he was going to get the franchise tag.
Well, I could tell you it was nobody big. His quote tweets were me, Joey Waller, and him. Because I waited till after. I gave it a DA show headline. I called it St. Patty's Day.
What did Waller say?
Boyle first.
CeeLo responded, "Is that right?" It's amazing. Nobody took it seriously.
When I first saw it, the third response, it was somebody else with a similar CeeLo. Then it was CeeLo, and the third one was like a sponsored ad tweet. It wasn't even a real person.
But this
for urinals.
I say this seriously. This is how your image on social media, shapes you. DA taught me this a long time ago. He can't be Pat Boyle _44 and be taken seriously.
Not only that, but Pat's avatar, his profile pic, is him with huge gold chains around him. Does not look like an insider.
If it's Boyle on a microphone and it's P Boyle WFAN, I got news for you. He's probably got like 300 retweets. He does. It's just how you come across. Nobody wants the Hoboken guy who's 15 chains on you and is still going by his baseball number breaking the news.
And no blue check mark either.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. If he had a blue check mark, and he has 2,000 followers, you can buy a blue check mark now. But if it was Schwartz, and he had just WFAN in his,
or CBS Sports Radio, it would have changed everything.
Name, and his avatar was just like him looking normal and not like a Joe Burrow knockoff. not like generic store brand Joe Burrow.
What did the caller call him? Popeye Boyle.
Popeye Boyle.
I love it. All right, so that's one part of social media. Now, the meltdowns, which are happening over our debate, which raged from last hour. Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers, is building a new arena for the team and yelling that the best thing about this is that there's more toilets. More toilets. He said 3 times as many urinals and toilets are going to be at Clippers games than anywhere else in the NBA. And me and Mraz believe that this need for toilets, the shortage of facilities, is because some people become, as Mraz coined it, shy guys. And that guys are going number one in the toilets. And that we believe that is selfish, and it is not being gracious to the people that really need the toilets.
Selfish.
And Bellotti believes he should have the freedom to decide if one day he wants to walk into the stall to use it for number one, he should be allowed to do so. And Bogish's argument was there's no shortage of toilets anyway, so you guys are fighting a stupid fight. But if there is a shortage of toilets, you still believe there should be a freedom of choosing.
Yes, it's like Pete said, you should be able to go to the bathroom where you want to go to the bathroom.
We really got into it, and I really believe the beauty of this show and why I love working with these guys is that we can have a dragged down, violent fight. I mean, we really haven't fought like this in a long time about whether you should go number one in its stall. And
Felt good, to be honest.
It's perfect that the seriousness of our debate combined with the silliness of the topic is the perfect mix. And we'll do this forever. And it just spilled out into the newsroom. Rick tweets, "You have to be kidding me. A 20-minute segment on the use of urinal versus a stall. What a waste of my time listening to this crap. I listen to you guys because I can't stand ESPN's morning show, but this was a waste of my time." Now,
Thanks,
there's Rick, who's the one dissenter, because I have 75 tweets with a hard stance on this argument that we're all enraptured by this. Timbo Slice, which is also at DA's 100 pounds.
Getting ahead of the curve. He has breaking news.
That was like the guy who bought, all the Washington team name website domains, knowing the change is coming.
The guy that bought WashingtonFederals.com at DA's 100.
Getting in on the ground floor.
Owner,
I'll be here. You're going to have to pay me off to get this handle.
Owner, Theismann Joe.
He tweets, "Pete for president, #toilet freedom."
Thank you. Thank you.
However, Tanner tweets, "The whole purpose of a stall is the complete privacy to take number two, not number one," for the guys that are arguing that. So that's a guy that's on Mraz and I, on our side. Sticks Football says, "Problem with going number one in a stall is that people can't aim, and now I have to clean up their mess," which is fair. Now, that's something else that's involved.
That's an argument that's another debate.
Yes. And there will be somebody that says, "I always clean up," and that's fine. Understand that you are in the severe minority. We've been in some of those bathrooms after. It's a mess.
But that's where your social contract argument comes in.
True.
If I'm going to pee in a stall, I got to lift the seat. I got to have good aim.
Correct.
I guess I should put the seat back down. And if something along the way went astray, I've got to clean it up. We should be able to keep the stall relatively clean. And the same thing is true for people who go in and do what Sean only wants to do in there. You need to make sure that everything is flushed
Have a slobber
out.
knocker.
You got to make sure that everything, that you're leaving nothing behind either.
You're exactly right. There's a compounding problem that happens in stalls where one guy goes number one, leaves a bit of a mess, and then that opens up the door for everybody to just keep making that same mess. Nobody thinks it's a problem. Nobody's going to clean it up, and then it just becomes a war zone.
It's like littering. Yeah. You see it on the side of the highway, I'm throwing my bottle here, too.
Abandoned ship.
And it gets ugly. It gets ugly. Dustin tweets, "DA, I'm on your side along with Mraz. The urinal invented for a reason, to take a number one without having to take up a stall or a toilet." Now, Mraz, you think you have a solution to this, and that is a bathroom attendant.
Yeah, look, the teams make enough money. If I'm spending, $10, $15 a beer and on and on and on, I mean, how many times, DA, do we go to a stadium and you see, the ticket taker, whatever you want to call them, and they're basically playing with their phone because there's not much to do after the first inning. You've taken everybody's tickets. Everybody knows where they got to sit. You keep some of those people around the sections. Maybe they double up. You send somebody into a bathroom, and they're in there for 9 innings, and they will direct. You walk in, you hold up a number one, you hold up a number two, and they'll direct you what line to stand on.
Oh, I thought you wanted somebody in there to be cleaning and stuff like that, but you want somebody to be there as a gatekeeper?
Where do you got to go? And then I think the line moves a lot quicker, okay?
Pitch com for this too?
Well, because you meant to clock it, right?
That guy on my thigh?
No, that guy at urinal 8 came in 2 minutes ago. He's got to be close to done. You go stand behind him, and then you do this, and then next thing you know, anybody who has a panic situation like me is not waiting behind 4 Bilatis who are scared to go to a urinal. It's an easy solution, and you're not hiring anybody else because you're already there. They're the ticket takers.
You're making so you're taking the ticket takers from the gate and putting them in the bathroom.
Everybody's in the stadium now. What do we need to take tickets for?
Will there be an embarrassment if you have to hold up the number two? Hey, I need the stall here.
No, there should be no embarrassment. By the way, why are you embarrassed? You were going to go there. People are going to see your shoes and spot them anyway.
What if I'm coming?
You should be embarrassed if you're holding up the one and have to stand on the stall.
What if I'm entering the stadium in the second inning and there's no ticket taker there because he's in the bathroom?
I'm not saying.
How do I get in the stadium?
If there's 10 ticket takers an hour before the game, second inning there should be 2 ticket takers. Take those 8, send them to the bathrooms.
Well, I think that what you're missing here, too, is the hierarchy of stadium workers. And I feel like the ticket taker, that's the top. They're not going to degrade themselves to go into the bathroom.
All right.
Like that's
so
the cream
send
of the
them
crop.
to the Annie Ann's stand. Send the Annie Ann's
No,
people
that's
who
a
are there to
different
batting
skill
practice.
set.
Why don't we expand the workforce? Why don't we just add jobs to the community? You want to be a bathroom attendant? You stand at the door and you're just waving people in. You got stall number 3. You got urinal number 4.
I would pay $2 more per ticket if it meant that the owners sent somebody in there and I knew if I had to make a run for the hills that I was going to be taken care of.
Free basing expos tweets hashtag team pee in a stall for no reason.
Okay.
So that's
a T-shirt.
That is on your side. But Go Blue says Bogusch and Bellotti have never been more wrong. You guys should get a week ban from the show for this. Let us not forget that this isn't just about courtesy or convenience. For health reasons or sickness, some people cannot wait in a long line.
Well, they shouldn't be on the line. They should be doing something.
Okay.
They should be off on doing another bathroom and getting their stuff
There's
done.
also a handicap bathroom for people that need. And so like that what is that? That doesn't apply here either.
How about we bring that up? How about the people that go into the handicap bathrooms when they shouldn't be going to the bathrooms?
Shouldn't do that.
No. I do that all the time here.
See, a pig right here, a big,
Shouldn't
big
do that.
fat pig.
Shouldn't do that. But to be fair, let's just say your stomach is grumbling, okay, and you've got to perhaps vomit, and you had too many Hawaiian sliders or something like this, and you mix it with a margarita.
Mexican lasagna.
You had Mexican lasagna in the parking lot, okay, and you're like, I can't use the urinal, obviously, and I need to use the bathroom stall, but here's 4 or 5 Bellottis that are shy guys that are just going number 1. Even if it's for 30 seconds, they're waiting for another 2.5 minutes, and they've got to actually use the stall desperately.
Can we clarify? I am not a shy guy. I go in the urinal. I go in the stall, wherever. Please.
Oh, he's fighting for the shy guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you.
And I'm fighting for Pete, so I'm 2 levels removed from shy guy.
Let me just say
All
this.
class, Bogusch. All class.
Let me just say this. Bogusch has the time to wait because Dave Matthews will play the same song for 15 minutes, so you have time to get in. Where this is going to become a big deal is baseball's new rule changes this year. You no longer have time. It's going to take an inning and a half to wait for some of these people who are lined up and scared to use the urinals. You're going to have a big backing for me and DA's believers now. Once you see how quick these innings are going by, get them out. Get them to the urinal and get them out.
You no longer have time for 15 enchiladas. I'll take 10 enchiladas.
Right, exactly.
And get my job
Well,
done.
I think I'm fighting just in general courtesy. Mraz shouldn't eat the 10th enchilada and then sit on the toilet scrolling Twitter for 12 minutes. I want him in and out, and he has to show some restraint as well. But I want, if you can use the urinal to make sure the stall is free for the people that need it, who will use it with courtesy, in, out cleanly.
Yeah, again, for the most part, I haven't had 12 enchiladas in a game. I'm just using an extreme circumstance.
6.
Well, you have had a bucket of fried chicken.
There was, by the way, one of the early years of the DH show, DH tried to had me eat a meal per inning at a game, and we got to like the 3rd inning.
I think we got to the 4th inning.
Right, I should have to plan bathrooms because of that. One last thought, because we are also a journalistic enterprise.
Yeah, we sure are.
And I did email the Clippers.
Oh, really?
Do you want to hear the email I sent to them?
I would love to.
So there are multiple people listed in their PR department. So I chose the bottom 2, figuring they were not the one dealing with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
They would be the bathroom attendant.
Yes. So good morning, everybody. My apologies in advance for a fairly ridiculous request. I know that you have actual important things to address, but I'm part of CBS Sports Radio's National Morning Show, and we just spent an entire segment arguing about bathroom etiquette based on Mr. Ballmer's comments yesterday.
This is brilliant.
Is there any chance you have actual, quote, stats you could share with me? Number of urinals versus toilets, etc. Again, I feel horrible even asking this. Even a minute of your time would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. I included a link to the show.
Oh, great. We'll never get a Clipper on.
And then, regards, Andrew Bogusch.
That is great.
So we'll see what we got.
Oh, God, this is so good. This is so good. The sloppy salami tweets, just go in your pants like Mraz. You don't have to worry about it anyway.
That's true, too.
There's only 2 stalls here. There's a reason people don't make it.
By the way, Bogus saying Pete is, quote, fighting for the shy guy. It's something I'll never be able to forget.
And this guy over here is eating everything in the stadium. But hey, he could do that. And
out there
whole court in the whole court in the,
Pete's
in the
out there
stall.
working for the little guy, the shy guys.
Yeah, damn right.
He's the Shy Guys union foreman. The shop steward of the Shy Guys.
A lot of anxiety. Come on.
Union UTI 11111. We're fighting for the shy guys.
That's right.
If Sean's for the blue collar, what color does Shy Guys wear?
Yellow.
Yeah. Another color mixed in. Maybe like a green.
A lot of earth tones.
If it's red, you got to make a doctor's appointment.
It's like the reverse color of Earth Day.
It's like the Jazz uniforms. There's a gradient.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Oh, Bogus has headlines.
Immediately after the Ravens put the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson yesterday, multiple teams rushed to whisper to Pat Boyle that they would not be making a run at Jackson, the price tag being 2 first-round picks and millions of guaranteed dollars. The Dolphins, the Panthers, the Falcons reportedly uninterested. The Raiders maybe haven't closed the door on Lamar just yet. The Giants, meanwhile, not the only New York team making headlines yesterday. The Jets, jumping on Air Wood, went to California to meet with Aaron Rodgers.
Jet Wood.
Woody Johnson, Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, and others might be back in Jersey already. As the NBA MVP conversation rages on, Joel Embiid had a huge third quarter in Minnesota last night.
Edwards defending Melton, and now Reed against Joel at the top. Jab step, up fake, jumper, 17-footer. Embiid's got it all. He is controlling the offense for the Sixers. Embiid with 38.
Tom McGinnis on Sixers radio. Embiid with 22 of his 39 in the third as Philly ran away for a 117-94 win in Minnesota without James Harden and a sore left foot. College Poops, Gonzaga thumped St. Mary's 77-51 in the WCC final. Drew Timme scored 18 along the way, becoming the program's all-time leading scorer. Charleston, Northern Kentucky, and Oral Roberts punching their dance tickets last night as well. As we speak, we've got World Baseball Classic action. This is Pool A in Taiwan, and Taiwan's losing to Panama 5-1 through 5 innings. And from the NHL last night, Austin Matthews, the game-winning power play goal, 2:53 left in regulation. His Leafs a 4-3 victory in Jersey. And the Avalanche overwhelmed the Sharks 6-0, a goal and 3 assists from...
Baby, you can drive my Kale McCarr. Beep, 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 beep.
And now let's get stunned.
Toilet!
It doesn't take much to surprise this bouncing baby boy.
This is honestly the most stunned I have ever been on the show to a news.
The DA show is stunned to a news.
Toilets!
It is not just toilets that we spend too much time on the show. There have been hot takes as well about people with metal detectors on the beach.
Yep.
This isn't exactly that, but sometimes you do find cool things in the sand. Today's stun comes from Roddy2112 via Twitter DM. Blaine Parker was digging up shellfish for chowder one day near Tallahassee when he discovered a larger than usual clam. Quahogs usually max out at 4 inches and about a half a pound, so they probably use the stall no matter what. But this baby was 6 inches, 2.5 pounds, so Parker didn't cook it. He works at the Gulf Specimen Marine Lab, so he brought it to the office.
That's lucky.
And they figured out that the clam is roughly 214 years old, which takes us back to to 1809, the year Abraham Lincoln was born.
Whoa!
So they're calling this quahog Abra-Clam Lincoln.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, how do they get to 214? Clams like this on their shell, they have growth bands, like trees have growth bands. So
Yeah.
you count them up. You get over 200, and now the clam, because it's old and fat, is back in the Gulf of Mexico, hopefully living happily and
This
safely.
is amazing that there are living specimens on Earth more than 200 years old. Are there trees more than 200 years old?
I think some of those sequoias are, and this is old, but not old for clam. Apparently, like a 500-year-old clam was found once in Iceland.
No.
Yeah, I think that's what the story says.
You could have a clam going back to the 1600s?
I guess if it's lucky and it's doesn't eat like Sean, yeah, it'll survive long.
Like, think about this clam was 114 the year Sister Jean was born.
How is it possible that a clam's life could have such a huge discrepancy? You know, it's not like clams, if you don't eat them, will usually live hundreds of years, I don't think. It just happens that there's one anomaly that lives for 500 years or 200 years.
Yeah, I guess there's some randos. But I do think that they, unbothered, they will live for a long time.
So I guess that most of them get eaten not only by humans, but by other marine life.
Or are at the bottom of the ocean, never to be touched by sunlight, let alone a human that we just don't. I mean, maybe these are littering the bottom of the ocean somewhere. I don't know.
Imagine all the things he's seen.
That's a pretty amazing thing to think that something's been on this earth that's not a tree, that's living since Abraham Lincoln was born? Like, that's just mind-boggling.
It is wild. What do you ask the clam who his favorite president was?
He's seen a lot of them.
Seen a lot of them. I like Truman.
Abraham Lincoln. That's good. That's really good, to be honest with you. That's really... Thank God this guy was part of the Marine Biologist Society or whatever.
Right.
If it's just a random clamor, like, oh, man, big, juicy, fun fat clam.
You would have been me squirting lemon going, oh, that's gone. Throw the shell away.
Yeah, exactly. When we come back, more important sports news. Will Tom Brady be a good cat dad? DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Now I want you to give our listeners, who I'm sure are a lot of parents thinking about costumes for their kids tomorrow, maybe also some people that are going to costume parties tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's some people that listen to the show that need some thoughts for Halloween and for trick-or-treat. So let's do a little do's and don'ts with Katie. And we'll also kind of kick up the music here, Pete, the Body Bilotti, because we'll do, after that, the 10, Katie's top 10 costumes ever. So here's the band.
It's time for America's favorite game show. Where we tell the studio guest what they should think. It's 10 questions. Not taped in front of a live studio audience.
So we're kind of adjusting this today for Katie's top 10 costumes ever. So we'll start with do's and don'ts for costumes tomorrow. What do you think?
I love it.
All right. So number one, what's a good do or don't for tomorrow?
Let's get techie for a second. Take advantage of Facebook Live and Facebook Messenger. They have filters built in just for Halloween.
Oh, is that right?
So you can give your friends a scare appropriately this time of year. So very fun camera tricks that you could use on both the Messenger side and on the Facebook Live side.
Cool. So Facebook Messenger and Facebook Live.
Yes.
Both have these filters. I didn't know that.
Yeah, brand new, just for the holiday.
All right, very cool. All right, so what are some other do's and don'ts?
Are we on a don't?
Yeah, you got it.
Maybe this is just being a little personal, but my don't is don't hoe it up.
Okay, yeah.
It's very important to me. This is your opportunity to do something wild and insane. No one wants to see the nurse. No one wants to see the cat. Do something off the charts, okay? Be weird.
Be creative.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
That's my don't.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Because I just went to a Halloween costume store a few days ago, and all of the women's costumes are just like slinky and sexy, and it's not even creative.
Grace Hopper would be disappointed, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Feminism went down about 300 years. Let's kick it up a notch, women.
I saw there was a part of the Halloween costume store that was for Ghostbusters. And for the guy's side, you could be the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Love that. Actually, there's one that inflates.
Oh, is there?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, that's cool.
Uh-huh.
For the girls, there was also the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But you don't wear a hat. You don't have anything white on you.
You actually don't wear anything.
Yeah, you just have like the red tie around your chest area and then a blue skirt. I'm like, that's not the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That is not a Ghostbusters costume.
As a matter of fact, that we're not even sure if that's anything.
Yeah.
At all.
You want to do something, be either Sigourney Weaver or Annie Potts.
Yeah.
Or I guess one of the new female Ghostbusters.
There you go.
But
it's not hard.
There's no...
You could even go off brand and be an ecto cooler.
That's
you could
good.
mix it up.
Yeah, but don't give me sexy Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
No.
Doesn't work.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. DA with you here on CBS Sports Radio. As always, the DA show is available to watch. You can check it out. Pop up the YouTube app on your phone, or watch on Twitch, or watch on watchda.com. Tom Brady says his newly adopted kitten is going to prevent him from making a comeback. Now, Jeff Darlington of ESPN has reported that the Dolphins are no longer interested as well. So there might not be any interest anyway, even though Rich Eisen said people told him to, quote, keep an eye on Miami. But Brady has adopted 2 Siamese mixed kittens from the Humane Society of Tampa for his 10-year-old daughter, Vivian. And sharing clips of these kittens on social media, Brady kind of is making I guess part of a joke, but that he's got too much time wrapped up in the kittens. He can't afford to come back. Now, look, anybody that has ever seen a kitten, played with a kitten, had a kitten knows that's a good enough reason not to leave the house. A kitten is just, it's too cute. It's like the type of thing that your heart melts the moment that you look at the kitten and you're like, I can't leave this kitten. So Tom Brady might feel like he can't leave the kittens, but I think more than that, this is that there's no interest for Tom Brady's services, which has got to be a bit of an eye-opener. I think that if there was, he would have interest potentially to come back, but if the situation was right, he didn't want to come back with a loser. Like maybe the Raiders were interested, but he didn't want to come back and play for a 7-win team or a 6-win team. But how would Tom Brady be as a cat dad? We're going to debate this coming up here at the top of the hour. Plus, our friend Chris Williamson, who played college football, is going to join us. Also, CBS Sports host in studio coming up here next as well.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining.
What would be your advice for the type of fashion that Jacob Wilkins should be wearing to get himself to the next level? He's looking to become a real high-end play-by-play guy.
Maybe then what I see is people wearing like a little more formal stuff, like maybe an entire suit.
Yeah, instead of the jeans. Yeah.
If you look like you know where you're going, you usually are wearing that.
Dress for the job you want.
Right, exactly.
Not the job that you have.
Right.
Okay. All right, Jacob. Thanks.
But overall,
We're gonna get back to you here next. Let's welcome in producer Shep, Dave Shepard. He's 32 years old. He's a sports radio producer. Works here at both CBS Sports Radio and and a little twist, little turn.
Okay.
Wow, and some dancing as well over at Sirius XM. Now he's shaking the hand of Lisa, and he's wearing also a black jacket with a white and blue checkered button-down shirt, darker jeans as well, and a pair of sneakers. They are black sneakers, maybe Nike of some sort. And so he's not trying to balance himself in the middle. He's really doing a little show for you. What do you think about this?
I actually like this. This is cute. I like the blue and white checkers. I think it looks good. I like that your thing is closed, but usually men only close one
His
button.
jacket is closed. His jacket, not his fly. Yes, his jacket is
I love that your fly is closed. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That's amazing. No, I like the dark jeans. It all works.
It all works. Now they have other costumes to be able to change into during commercial break to show you some different styles. But this is just the best style that they feel right now. But you are allowed to tell them what looks good, what doesn't when you look at some of their other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this works. I really do.
So you got what about his haircut here?
The sneakers makes it like fun, and then that's like a pop of like quirkiness and funkiness with the checkers.
Which is the checkered shirt.
Mhm.
Okay. What do you think about the haircut? Is it a good haircut? Should he grow it out a little bit? Should it?
No, you don't need to grow that out. That's good.
That's the correct. He's got kind of half sideburns. Should he keep that length of the sideburns?
I got that. It looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good.
Seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Good morning.
Morning, DA. How are you?
Hey, what's up, DA? Permission to enter the mothership, brother.
Ever heard a sports talk show like this before? Didn't think so.
What's going on, Dirty Dirty?
It's DA on CBS Sports Radio.
DA, how you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling great.
I'm doing great.
Happy Wednesday, boys and girls. One question only. How do you feel?
Well, I feel good, and I'm doing well.
Hey, that's all that really matters. We appreciate you dropping on by. Coming up in 20 minutes, Do role players dislike playing alongside LeBron? We'll talk about that coming up in 40 minutes. What did we decide on the poll question of the day? Is it the raging debate that we've had? It is. Okay. Steve Ballmer, owner of the Clippers, is building a new arena, and he's putting in 3 times the amount of toilets and urinals in the facility. And we have had a debate all morning long whether it's appropriate to use the stalls to go number 1. Or as a courtesy, should you only do number 1 in the urinal to keep the stalls free? That's the debate today. You can weigh in the poll question. A lot of very hot takes cascading in about a very important conversation that I think we should all have with our loved ones.
Sports.
But our next guest, I'm so excited about this. I've had the chance to work with him. He's such a bright, young, talented broadcaster. He also played college football as well. He went to Syracuse like I did, but he was, after I was there, I graduated, about 10, 15 years earlier than him, and he ends up transitioning to a great sports media career, has recently hosted Time to Shine on CBS Sports Network. Chris Williamson joining us here in studio. My man, how you doing?
Yay, it's a pleasure to be here. So glad that I can make it, and it's an honor to be in your presence because you have built such a great career in this media business, man. I can't wait.
Well, now you're invited back anytime that you want. We worked together at SNY here in New York, and I loved what you did over there. And now you're doing even better things, Amazon stuff coming up, which is so cool. And you're watching the college sports landscape change pretty dramatically. You played before an NIL thing was possible. What do you think about the way that NIL is being utilized these days?
It's crazy, man, because there's no regulation, right? And the NCAA had all these years to prepare for something like this. And then when it happens, it's like a madhouse. It's the Wild Wild West. And I actually love it for the players because it's about damn time that they were able to get paid for their work. Like, they deserve to be paid like employees. I know they're not at that point yet, but this is something that is changing the landscape of college football, and it's college sports as really, but it's getting so many coaches hot and bothered as if they haven't been paying players, under the table, before NIL was even a thing.
And that wasn't regulated, of course.
Right.
That was the Wild West. So it does seem weird that now coaches are more bothered by something that actually is above board. It's not regulated, but neither was what the previous thing was.
Yeah, it wasn't regulated, but now that it's out in the open, there's a different perception. Because before, you couldn't transfer and play immediately. Now you can do that if you're doing it first time. And so it's just funny to me how people have shifted their opinions as if this is something that is totally wrong with college football or college sports, and that, players shouldn't be getting paid. Like, no, I'm working my butt off. I'm the one putting the time on the field. I should be getting compensated for my work. So some of it feels like a little performative. Other times you hear like Nick Saban and other guys talking about NIL, that's a signal to their boosters. Hey, you need to bring this money up. Yeah. Like, bro, we're not losing to Texas A&M. We're not doing that with the recruits and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you bring up an interesting point about, hey, I'm putting in the work, because some would say, well, your tuition is what your payment is. And there's certainly a value. You went to a good school. It's an expensive school, et cetera. But the issue is, when you go to Syracuse or you go to any of these big football programs, they don't want you doing school. They don't want you playing school. They want you playing football. And so how does that work when you'd like to get an education, but they're like, no. Just take rocks for jocks and, just stay eligible.
You know what I do? I don't listen. That's the way I was raised. It's always about education first, right? And so thankfully, I was already in Newhouse when I walked onto the team.
Which is the communications
school at Syracuse University. But it's something that is crazy because you have to realize, DA, that this is something that's been going on for so long. And I hate that people do not prioritize academics when you could be so much more well-rounded as an individual, where you can get the stats right on the field, but also in the classroom. So I was like, look, y'all can have these GPA requirements and everything that are not that high. I'm still going to pursue, the best classes so that I know that I'll be set once I leave here, because I knew that I wasn't going to be in the NFL. So that was my first priority. So it wasn't something for me that really bothered me, but it wasn't something that affected me because I knew the trajectory that I was on.
Chris Williamson joins us here in studio. He played at Syracuse defensive back 2011, 12, 13. In that era, Doug Marrone was the head coach, then Scott Schaefer. And now you become a sports broadcaster. What do they want you to do in terms of taking classes? When you wanted to take more demanding classes, they kind of dissuaded you from doing that?
So it was like it all had to fit into the practice schedule, the workout schedule. If it didn't fit, well, you're going to have to take that next semester, right? But thankfully, I was able to schedule. I think I actually took the most amount of credits that I had during my time at Syracuse when I was playing on the football team. I took like 17 credits, and I was able to schedule it all out so that I would get the work in, academically, but also, be ready on time, for workouts and practice and games like that. So, yeah, I was able to, I won't say finesse the system, but I did what I needed to do.
But you also kind of went rogue. You were like, no, academics my thing. It's not going to be football, and they weren't happy with that.
Yeah, it wasn't so much that they weren't happy with it. It was like, yeah, where are your priorities? Sometimes you hear that.
And you would think like, well, it should be academic, shouldn't it?
It should be. However, if with the walk-ons who are not on scholarship, and then scholarship players, a little bit different because scholarship players, they feel, some of them, like they cannot do anything outside of what the football team wants because the football team is paying their tuition, room and board. My parents were paying my tuition, room and board. Like, I remember having a conversation with one of the coaches about leaving, and they told me that, if you were on scholarship, we would be having a different conversation, right? It's like, we run y'all, you know what I'm saying? It was like, we own y'all. But now, that's why it's so great to see the times we're in now, because the players have more autonomy. They have more power with this NIL, image and likeness. Everything is being much more open for them to, make money and be compensated.
What'd you think about Anthony Richardson's scouting combine?
That's a freak. That is a freak of nature, boy. I mean, yeah, I know he's still a little raw, and we knew that he was a freak going in. But the vertical jump, the 40, I mean, the guy is 6'6", 234, whatever, maybe a little bit more, and he's running that type of 40, jumping out of the gym. Like, I need somebody to take a risk on him and allow him to develop. Like, I think maybe the Seahawks might be a good situation just because Geno Smith, great as he is, and we also beat Geno Smith, I like to point that out. When I was at Syracuse.
But he was at West Virginia.
Yeah, trashed them 49-23. Dana Holgerson was always pumping him up like the week before, and Doug Marrone was getting hot and bothered about that. But, yeah, he's not going to be the long-term solution. Yeah. So I think a guy like Anthony Richardson, he can go into that franchise and learn from Geno, give him a couple years, could be real special.
Would Richardson be your number one quarterback taken off the board?
Nah, I like Bryce Young, man.
Same.
I love Bryce Young. Like, he's the definition of poise and calm. You never saw him rattled. Like, even if he had a bad game, it wasn't because he was flustered. Just sometimes things don't work on your favor. I just love his intangibles, but also his decision-making, on the fly when he needs to make a play. Especially that Texas game, just ridiculous what he did there. I know they're almost going to lose.
The Tennessee game, he was insane.
Yeah, and they lost that game, but he was the guy that kept this team in the hunt before they fell out for a national title.
If Bryce Young was 2 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier, I'd be like, that's one of the best quarterback prospects I've seen in 10 years. He's not, and so that's my hesitation. But I almost don't feel like it's fair because everything he's done on the football field has been great at a really high level. He's been a winner. He's poised. He makes huge plays. He's unflappable. So I almost feel a little guilty going like, well, I need you to be 2 inches taller because it seems so irrelevant because everything football-wise, he's just been so awesome.
Yeah, he's been so awesome. And sometimes it's like there can be outliers. We've seen it, in terms of for me, it's about his weight, not so much the size, because you see guys like Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, that are able to, have tremendous careers. Can he be durable enough? That is my only question. I know he took a lot of hits in SEC. It's like NFL development league for me. But in the NFL, everybody's like 2 seconds fast, 2/10 faster, right? Probably 10, 20, 30 pounds heavier. So you need to adapt to that culture so that your career is not going to be short-lived, right? But yeah, who cares like the size? Yeah, who cares about the height? The boy can throw. All right, the man can throw. He's got all the tools. So my thing is just, get some weight up. You'll be good.
Chris Williamson joins us here in studio. Free agency is happening right now, and we had some franchise tags yesterday. Lamar Jackson got one of them. You think the Ravens are playing with fire, or you think ultimately they'll get him at what they want?
No, they're not. They're playing with fire. I mean, when you make the decision, DA, for your franchise QB, you give him the freedom to negotiate with other teams or whatever. You guys negotiate with other teams and see if they're going to match or see if they're going to give him a contract that you would match. It's like, well, if you were going to give him that money in the first place, why did you give the non-exclusive franchise tag? So I think it's over. Ravens Lamar is done. I don't think there's really any point of return at this point. $32 million a year. Daniel Jones, and I'm not mad at him for getting his money. I'm all for the guys getting paid. $40 million a year, and Lamar's getting 32.
You're not going to be happy.
Not going to be happy at all. So I'm interested to see if he's going to return. If any teams, that's the other thing. You see all these teams that have publicly expressed, we're not interested.
Thought that was interesting.
Like mere seconds, after they place a non-exclusive franchise tag, it's like you see all these reporters. Yeah, Raiders are out. Commanders are out. The Texans are out.
Falcons are out.
Panthers are out. And then it comes later in the day, the Raiders are actually not ruling out Lamar Jackson, which is funny because Mark Davis and the Raiders do not have that type of capital to give Lamar Jackson. So, man, I think the Ravens have done him a disservice. I do understand them not wanting to give him, $230+ million guaranteed. But $220? Come on, man. Like, you should be getting more guaranteed money than Kyler Murray, who hasn't done anything.
I think all of those teams that bailed yesterday were all sending the message we're not doing fully guaranteed contracts. And you might call that collusion. It's possible. Collusion, you'd have to prove that they're actually in cahoots saying, everybody say this and do this. But I think all these owners want to send the same message. We're not doing the Deshaun Watson deal. And until you back off of that desire, we're not going to be interested. So that'll be interesting to see if he wins that war, because I don't think after what Deshaun Watson didn't do last year, I think all these other owners are just freaking out about that.
The Haslams have made a lot of owners, the rest of the owners, very mad.
Yeah.
And now, you see it play out, in public. I think it's going to be the owners have made a decision that we ain't doing fully guaranteed deals, even though it's ridiculous, right? Because these players are putting their lives on the line. And if they're not getting fully guaranteed deals like the MLB, they miss out on so much. And then you think about, all the controversy around NFL with healthcare and pensions, like they're really getting the short end of the stick. So I'm all for fully guaranteed deals, but I understand why owners don't want to do that, even though it is, kind of out. It's not fair.
Yeah. Rodgers to the Jets. You think that he works in New York?
Nathaniel Hacker's there.
Okay.
I mean, they've got a great roster.
But the Aaron Rodgers thing is its own dynamic.
It is.
Caves and, darkness retreats and controlling the narrative and calling out teammates. Does that work in New York?
It could be very explosive.
Yeah.
In a good way and a bad way.
True.
But if you're the Jets, you definitely take that.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You got Garrett Wilson. You got Elijah Moore. You got C.J. Uzomah. All these guys that have shown they can be really good players, and they're still ascending, specifically Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. The only problem was, they needed a quarterback and then the offensive line, the injuries, right? That's something that's key, too. But I think it could work. He feels comfortable clearly with Nathaniel Hackett, the fact that he's taking this meeting that he took last night or whatever. So yeah, I think it could work, but I also think it could be really crazy and chaotic.
Mraz, how explosive would Rodgers in New York be? I mean, everything that he did, good and bad, would just be, you think he's a big deal now. The pressure on him figuring out New York would just explode everything to the next level.
Yeah, well, first of all, New Yorkers and the New York media aren't going to stand for wild theories on McAfee every week. That's not going to stand for it. And then if you're throwing a couple picks and looking old in a game and bristling at anything and acting like you don't care enough, it's going to rub people the wrong way in a hurry. I just don't think that personality meshes in New York whatsoever.
Super interesting. And we'll see today, as Chris just mentioned, they did the nighttime meeting. Rodgers may come back on Jet Woody. He might, just the Jets might come back. We'll see what happens there.
Airwood.
Airwood is what we're calling it, Airwood. We've had this debate about the urinals versus the stalls. I just want you to hold up the amount of water that you drink over the course of the day. Look at what Chris Williamson drinks over the course of this day. That is the size of a small child. That is a huge... How many ounces of water is that?
Yeah, it's 128 ounces. 128 ounces, baby. You got to hydrate. Got to make sure the skin is good. We're properly taking care of ourselves. So, yeah, I'd be going to the urinal a lot, if I drank this whole thing during our segment.
You drink that from the start of the day to the end of the day?
That is the goal. Keyword, the goal. Does it always get accomplished? No. But that is the goal, DA.
Now I got water bottle envy.
You got to step it up. I used to do that in high school, in college. But
man, I look small and pathetic next to you.
Imagine Chris waiting to fill it up here with the slow flow that we've had.
Yeah. So if you're going to drink all that water, you would need to use the urinal regularly. Do you believe at ballpark stadiums, if you only have to go number one, are you allowed to use the stall? Or should the stalls be kept available for people that need the stalls?
Ooh. No, you should be allowed to do it.
Okay, you like stall freedom.
Yeah, stall freedom. Come on, man. You can go regulate the bathroom. Nah, bro. Get out of here. Oh, I can't use the stall because I'm going number one? Get out of here, bro. Yeah. Yeah, man, I do it all the time. I do it.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, if the line is too long,
for the urinal.
Then I go, yeah.
We were saying the only people using the stalls to go number one are shy guys. And we felt that we should regulate and restrict shy guys because they're wasting resources at the stadium. And you have to learn how to play with the big boys. You have to be able to go in a crowded room.
There's nothing wrong with doing that. I've done both. This is such a funny debate. It's Steve Ballmer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that brought this all to the forefront with the construction of the new arena for the Clippers. Yeah. Shy guys. I guess. Just don't be looking at anybody.
That has to be a rule of courtesy as well. Don't make it awkward on anybody. No peeking eyes, no peeking around the corner. But we want to make sure that those stalls are open, courtesy purposes for people like Mraz that might need to run in there after a bucket of chicken sliders at Yankee Stadium.
If you have to leak, take no peek.
If you have to leak, take no peek.
Yeah, don't be looking over. That's my ballot.
If you're leaking, no peeking.
Yes, there you go. Maybe that's better.
Leakaroo, no peekaboo.
Okay, next time.
Do you have any picks on March Madness? From what I gather, and I'm trying to do my research, there's like 20 teams that could win the NCAA tournament. I don't know if I believe that, but that's what everybody is saying.
Do I have any? This is probably the year, DA, where I don't have any
feel on this.
I don't have any strong opinion on like who is going to win the national title for college men's basketball. Like Houston could win it all. Kevin Sampson, what he's doing at that program has been phenomenal. Kansas, Bill Self, they're always a contender. Maybe Alabama, potentially. We'll see what happens if anything happens with Brandon Miller. I don't think so. So as long as they keep that core together, those players, they can make a run. But yeah, there's nobody that's like, oh, this is the team to beat. Purdue, we've seen them lose. Indiana, I mean, it's anybody's game, DA.
And the Big 12 is going to have like 4 or 5 teams on the top 2 lines. So that conference has the numbers, but I don't know if you necessarily would be convinced that any of them are going to win a national championship. Maybe Kansas because they just did. But yeah, it's a weird, wide open year where there are quote unquote good teams, but I don't think anybody has any faith that they're really good teams.
No faith in like premier, elite, all-time contenders. That's not happening.
You think that that's over because of maybe the way that college basketball has evolved, where the best players are there for only 1 year usually. Some of them go to the G League. Some of them go overseas. That maybe we're just an NIL and transfer portals swing everything, that maybe we just won't have traditional powers anymore?
You know, I hate to say it, but I think you're right. It's possible because, like you say, the transfer rule, people are transferring every single day, it feels like.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them, end up, kind of SOL, right? They are, they don't get the money that they want. The teams are not looking at them like they feel they should be looked at. And so when you don't have that continuity, like you've seen with the Illinois team, D. Brown, Darren Williams, Luther Head, and then UNC, Rashad McCants, Raymond Felton, all those guys, Sean May, that's over, bro. That's gone. Now, I do hope that we get back to the point where you have teams that are all-time contenders, but I think you make a great point. Like, I'm not sure if we're going to see the level of teams that we're used to seeing where it's like nobody can beat them. Now, on the women's side, South Carolina, they're winning it all.
Yeah.
That's the team that I feel like is the team to beat, and nobody's going to beat them because of their dominance and their defensive greatness with Aaliyah Boston, Bria Beal, all those girls. So that is different in women's basketball. There's still a lot of parity. I think South Carolina, though, is going to take it all away.
You like watching the women's tournament?
I love it all the time, bro. I grew up on that. You know, Elena Beard, Candace Parker, all these players.
Yeah.
Like, I was big. You know what I'm saying? Maya Mort, like Diana Taurasi. I was a huge UConn fan because of their, excellence, Gino, R.E.M., and all those coaches. Now, the field is kind of leveled out where they're not able to dominate the NCAA as much as they used to. But I love college women's basketball, man.
Okay. If we do another college women's bracket, we can't let Chris be in it because he knows a lot and we know nothing. You'd win that very easily. Chris Williamson, who played at Syracuse in the teens, I guess we'll call this, right?
Yeah.
At the quote-unquote teens. Now have turned into a really successful, talented young broadcaster. Check him out. He just filled in for Time to Shine on CBS Sports Network, doing some stuff for Amazon as well. And hopefully join us again, man. This was so much fun. We'll have you back anytime you want to jump by.
I really appreciate it. And, the best part about this conversation, DA, was the urinal talk.
Yeah, that's the highlight.
No, but for real, man, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. When we come back here on the show, LeBron, do role players resist playing with the king? We'll talk about it next. DA, CBS Sports Radio. Sleep is essential to your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. What if you could know what's happening in your body while you're sleeping and how your nights are impacting your days? Well, guess what? With the Sleep Number Smart Bed, you can. Okay, so you want to describe what's this bag look like?
Well, we've got a green bag, the Lay's Wavy fried green tomato, and sort of a chip with what appears to be a special sauce cut through the middle, and that is right exactly what it looks like in front of Mraz and DA. And so let's get things going. And the first bite, now chips are always sort of a very personal thing. Everyone likes them universally, but how one interprets the taste can really vary, go across the spectrum. So they're slowly eating. There hasn't been a dramatic reaction yet either way, which means probably heading towards the mainstream of taste. Now, green tomato, I don't even know what that tastes like. I've never heard of such a thing. I know green apple martinis, but green tomato, go ahead.
Fried green tomatoes.
My initial reaction is I like them.
I do too.
They're a lot better than the dirty sock, everything bagel with cream cheese chips we tried last week. Whatever the sauce is that Jacob Wilkins described on the bag, I feel like I'm getting that taste in this chip.
So on the front of the bag are The green tomatoes that are kind of sliced in the middle, so maybe they're like quartered or something, and then they're fried, so they kind of look like discs. And they're like breaded and fried, and then there's like a white drizzle on top of them.
Whatever that white drizzle is, I'm tasting. I'm telling you, I'm getting that.
I'm getting
It's
some
embedded.
tomato.
It's embedded in the chip, that white drizzle.
It is embedded. You're right. You are getting the tomato, and you get that little fried burn a little bit down the throat at the end.
Now, here's an important question that is key to a chip's longevity. Some chips are great right off the first couple of bites, but then it wears off. You can't run a whole cocktail party or summer barbecue with them. Others may not have the dramatic impact right off the bat, but they're going to last you into the night or into a block party or into the afternoon. What do you think? What category do you think this falls under?
This is a great question.
I think they have some longevity. A couple years ago, Lay's came out with the mango salsa. That my initial reaction with these were good. But to bring up your point, Jacob, they didn't have long-lasting effect. Once you had a couple, you're like, all right, I'm good with these. They tasted good, but I can't keep up. I could bury a bag of these on a Sunday afternoon.
I think I could, too. I think this has some long-lasting effect. I think I could keep eating these. I think it's not overwhelming, the taste. So it's kind of like a spicy taste, but it's not too spicy.
You know what it reminds me of right now? The bloomin' onion at the famous Outback Steakhouse, when you dip it in whatever that sauce is they have with it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting a little bit if it was formed into chip flavor.
I'm getting some tomato. I am getting some tomato.
Now, here's another question. We're in the summer state of mind, so we're thinking about that, but is this just a seasonal chip, or could this work at the football tailgate?
Ooh.
I think that's a great question. I think it's a seasonal. I think it's more of a summer chip.
Okay.
It is a
It's
summer
a summer
chip.
chip. I'm not eating these on Christmas.
Well, they put them out there in front of you.
Oh, that was coherent.
They put them out there in front of you. You're going to eat them.
This is a good early season tailgate. This is going to be
September into the beginning of October.
If you're in the South, you can get away with this up until maybe mid-November. But once there's a crisp in the air, you won't want to eat these.
Yeah, once the turkeys and cranberry sauce are hitting the table, maybe you pack these up. Let's not drop them all over the studio. That won't be good for Tiki and Tierney
That
later.
is important to know, though, because those first couple of weeks of the football season, while obviously you want your team to get off to a good start, there is sort of a party feel just that the season's getting underway, warmer weather. Then everything takes a different turn as you get into mid-October.
Yeah, it's not a harvest apple like you would get in October, November. I like them.
I
I
do
like them,
too.
and I hope they return next summer.
These are the best of the three.
Ooh,
This is better than spicy taco.
I think it's crispy taco. Have some damn respect in its name. I think I prefer.
One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
They punched their ticket to the postseason with a 6-3 win over the Islanders and
Does
golf.
it make a noise?
I'm sorry?
The DA Show on CBS Sports Radio.
What do you mean? 30 minutes past the hour. Thanks for being with us. Hey, check out my new podcast. Just released the first episode yesterday. It's called New York Accent. Brand new original series. It's my long-form interviews with some of the players that I loved growing up. And first episode is Mookie Wilson. All about the dramatic at-bat in Game 6 of the 1986 World Series and some amazing stories that I had no idea about. He told me a story where after Game 6 of the World Series, when Bill Buckner becomes the GOAT of all GOATs, They had played in different leagues, National League, American League. Back then, you didn't play against one another. He was finally traded to the American League with the Blue Jays, and he wanted to avoid Buckner, assuming that it was uncomfortable. So he saw Buckner walking over to him before a game in Kansas City, and he saw one of Buckner's teammates kind of grab him and pull him back. So he's like, uh-oh, this is not good. He's stretching. Buckner comes over again, gets through his teammates, stands over Mookie with a baseball bat. And Mookie's like, oh, boy. And he says, Mookie, you want to hit me grounders? And Mookie's thinking, oh, my goodness, if I said that to him, it would be an insult. What does he mean to me? And didn't really know if that was an offer to fight, to be PO'd, whatever. He said, no, I want you to hit me grounders. And that began a process of Bill Buckner healing. He wanted Mookie specifically to hit him grounders 3 years after the fact. They end up becoming really close friends. And sometimes Buckner would just call him in the middle of the night just to talk about non-baseball stuff. So life is funny. You know, you go through some traumatic things, and at the moment, you, of course, can't know what is meant through all this. But then the universe puts somebody in your path for some type of reason. And here the nicest guy ever is Mookie Wilson. Thankfully, it wasn't one of the cretins of the 86 Mets that would have been, far less patient, far less warm, that Buckner needed like a baseball soulmate after that. And Mookie became that. I just thought it was such a powerful story about overcoming, these huge, embarrassing, traumatic moments, et cetera. Because let's face it, Buckner was clearly traumatized by this. He was kind of emotionally tortured by this until 2004 when they welcomed him back into Fenway and they gave him that ovation. That was a very emotional day. So that was some of the stories, one of the stories that I got in like 45 minutes with Mookie Wilson. So that was just episode 1. It's available right now, all places the podcasts are downloaded. Subscribe if you can. Rate it and review it. That would really help me out. Just let me know who you'd like to see or hear on the podcast or what you think, and I'm open to any and all feedback as well. It is called New York Accent, and it's available right now. All places the podcasts are downloadable. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and inside the free Odyssey app. This was an interesting quote from J.R. Smith, who, of course, played with LeBron during the Cleveland Cavaliers days, and he was, one of the role players. He was a starter, but one of the role players, and infamously didn't know how much time was left on the clock in Game 1 of the NBA Finals against the Warriors, and there's that picture of LeBron, open palms, going, what are you thinking? And he told Bomani Jones, it's a gift and a curse playing with Bron. I love Bron to death, and I love playing on his team because for me, I thrive more under the pressure, ironically. But a lot of guys don't like it, he said. And I think if you're a role player or you are a supporter or a supporting cast member of one of the teams LeBron is on, or Michael was on, or Magic was on, or Bird was on, or Kobe was on, and you didn't like playing with those guys because he put too much pressure on you, that's a really bad look. That's disappointing. Because to me, part of getting the most out of you, out of your career, out of your experience, is playing alongside guys that demand more out of you, push you, and are going to be great alongside you. It's different if you've got guys that aren't great, that are trying to berate you and embarrass you or pressure you, and you know that they're not an all-time legend. But for the all-time legends, it doesn't take much to see that LeBron is one of those and was one of those early. If he's banging on you, if Michael's banging on you, if Kobe's banging on you to be better, and they've won titles and they've been who they are, you should want to rise to the challenge. That should be a great challenge for you because you're getting the best out of the best player on your team every day, and you've got to be there. So that's disappointing to hear that some guys hate playing with LeBron. Dude, that should be the joy in being an NBA player, not just playing at 75% and collecting a paycheck. Woody is in Myrtle Beach this morning here on the DA show. He's got a take on this urinal versus stall debate. Good morning, Woody.
Good morning.
What's going on? What do you think?
Well, I just want to say I'm by no means a shy guy, but I always choose the stall. That's mainly because I'm 6'8", and if I do use the urinal, it turns the guys next to me into shy guys.
So your size is intimidating to the other guys, or you're just saying that physically it doesn't quite work well for you?
A little bit of both, but I can easily see over the partitions. I have to kind of keep my peripherals in check, and you can kind of see the guys next to me turn to the side. So to avoid that, I usually just use the stall.
Okay, interesting. What
a problem. I hate this take.
Do we give those over 6'5" a pass and let them use the stall?
This is an egomaniac. This is an egomaniac.
He sounded like a nice guy.
You could be an egomaniac and a nice guy. It doesn't mean you're a bad guy, but you're thinking very consciously about yourself. You're looking down, go, look at this guy scared of me as I just sit here with, I'm 6'8", and Bo Jackson's 6'8", and
As
here
you're
we go.
critiquing my oinks yesterday.
No, but it's just the truth, dude. Just like nobody's paying attention, like we're trying to tell everybody who's scared, nobody's looking down. Nobody's looking at you going, you're 6'8", I can't do my do next to you. I mean, get real, man. And honestly, I don't want to hear about it's harder to do. I still speak at career day. I'll go right to an elementary school urinal, no problem. Who cares? It's all going downstream anyway. I go in the shower, it's downstream.
You think Woody in Myrtle Beach going to a normal adult urinal is like you going to an elementary school urinal?
Yeah, you pump the brakes, Woody. You're not that special because you're 6'8". Just go to the urinal. Don't take up a stall and act like you're doing everybody a favor because they're looking at you.
Back to Stun to a News, the clam.
Yeah.
Aber
Clam Lincoln.
Aber Clam Lincoln. God, I love that. 214 years old. This guy found a clam, 214 years old. I marveled at the fact that there's a living organism that's that old. Although I did say the trees are probably a couple of hundred years old. Todd tweets, in DA, 200 years is old, but the Great Basin bristlecone pine, which is in the White Mountains of California, deemed the oldest tree in existence, has an age of over 5,000 years.
Wow.
It's a living fossil. Could you imagine a tree that's been around 3,000 years BC?
It's before Christ.
That's right.
Good
Before
job.
cupcakes.
Whoa. Is that a real thing? That is mind-blowing.
I think turtles can get really old. Not, obviously, thousands of years, but I think turtles can easily go past 100.
Is that so?
I think so.
Yeah.
That is what? Like, that's one of those things, and I know they can't, but don't you wish trees could talk?
No question.
Well, what was this like? I'd love to interview a tree.
5,000 years ago, what is the world like 3,000 years BC? Man. Wowie.
Did they have pancakes then?
I think so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They did not have pancakes BC.
Well, I'm going to mess up a lot of dates. When was the Roman? When were the Romans? When were the Egyptians?
Yeah, we went way
back. The
back.
Empire or the candles?
Both the Roman candles? Why would I want to date the Roman candles?
You talk about the invention of the pancake. I didn't know if that was like the original firework. What are we talking about here?
No, the Roman civilization. How many thousands of years ago is that? Because I would imagine they had pancakes.
That was the little guy from Night at the Museum was in the Roman civilization.
The first recorded mention of pancakes, 600 BC.
Okay, so we're still well before that for this bristlecone pine.
When was the first skillet?
The first skillet? No, we can really go back first skillet to like caveman days, because really what you're looking for is a hot rock that you then heat from underneath and put some meat on that.
You guys, I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with religion. Nobody in the world was eating a flapjack before Jesus Christ. Don't give me 600 BC.
Did he bring those with him?
But I'm just saying, like, who? Who was making a pancake then? Who was sitting down going, pass the syrup? You guys are out of your mind. You're out of control now.
Out of control.
Out of control. So,
by the way,
gloss over 600 BC. Think about it.
Greek Empire starts 1200 BC. So we're still even before that.
Right. So I think not to have this fight again, but you have to understand that we're not necessarily talking about the pancakes that you put syrup and whipped cream and chocolate chips and Fruit Loops or whatever in right now. it's like the grandfather of today's pancake. So, right, maybe no one's asking past the syrup, but the same general idea of like a sweet dough cooked flat into like small circles, like is the idea we're talking about here.
Correct. I know I need to go to history classes and religious classes, but if Mary and Joseph had the Immaculate Reception and then we got Jesus Christ here, what are you laughing at now? Who was around before them making pancakes? It doesn't make sense.
I think you got Franco Harris and Mary and Joseph mixed up there.
Well, what was the Franco Harris play named after? It was the Immaculate Reception.
It's a take on the Immaculate Conception.
All right, I need to shut it down.
You think forever or just for this morning?
I really need to go read a book. I don't know.
When was Mrs. Buttersworth invented?
Imagine thinking that Jesus was born via the Immaculate Reception.
Or, I don't understand the connection of why Jesus only could usher in pancakes. Like, why the people that lived before Jesus were incapable of making a sweet treat? I don't understand
Jesus was
that logic either.
I am pleading religious ignorance. I was under the
Religion
impression
has nothing to do with it.
I was under the impression if you followed the Catholic religion, which I somewhat do.
Okay.
That the first two humans were Mary and Joseph, and they had the immaculate, I guess, conception of Jesus Christ.
Oh my God! That's an all-timer.
Well, why would it be immaculate then if they're creating something we've never seen before?
Come on, everybody!
Mary was a virgin.
So they were living with other people. I thought Mary and Joseph were kind of like Adam and Eve.
Bogus walked out.
Well, who do you think Adam and Eve were?
Mary and Joseph. Although they're like the same people, but it's like if you don't believe in the Catholic or Christian religion, you believed in Adam and Eve. Which I see now I am terribly wrong, apparently. This is the way I've lived my life, which is why Christmas is a big deal.
Because Jesus was born to the first humans on earth.
Yes. So here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus. But I guess that's point because then where did the three wise men come from?
That's
with
a
the
fair
gifts.
question.
I never thought about that. And who built the manger?
That's a fair
Moses.
question as well.
Everything's coming to me now in real time, and it's unfair that I have a microphone on. Some of the things have gaps.
Imagine being in your mid-30s, father of two children, and thinking Mary and Joseph were Adam and Eve.
How about that? I'm in trouble.
We've added to several staples on the show today.
Somehow, March the 8th, 2023 will go down in infamy.
DA show infamy.
There might be 3 12DA moments that are all totally separate just from today's show.
There's going to be a 30 for 30 on this show.
Kind of like the day of the OJ chase.
That's right. That's right.
Everything happened on this day.
What games were going on? What was happening?
Right. Taiwan and Panama were playing in the World Baseball Classic at the same time that Perez thought that Mary and Joseph were the first people on Earth.
On Tubi.
What?
The game was on Tubi, too.
So Bogish has literally walked out of the studio.
He did go to Catholic high school, so he's probably very offended by me.
Well, I would imagine. He's either frustrated, stupefied, or offended.
All of it.
Here comes Bogish again, just to turn side mic.
Just one response. Whether or not I went to Catholic school or not has nothing to do with my utter embarrassment. It's more like we're humans. We're awake. We let you drive cars. And I know people always get mad at me for trying to sound this. This is preposterous. This is the dumbest thing you've ever said. I cannot believe the 3 or 4 cents that just came out of your mouth that you thought Mary and Joseph were the first people alternately called Adam and Eve for non-believers. I got nothing else. I got nothing else. I got nothing else.
If it makes you feel better, Bogish,
See you tomorrow.
I'm not
Done for
making
the day.
excuses. You're right. I'm wrong. And nobody is more embarrassed right now than me.
Mary and Joseph, also known as Adam and Eve for the non-believers in the audience.
Dual roles.
How did we get the 3 wise men? They came over on the ark.
That's another guy, Noah.
That's another guy.
They usually only had room for 2 of these things, but they had room for 3 of the wise men.
Oh, my goodness.
When we come back, advanced analytics and an epic fail. How do you top this day? DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Even the DA show is not perfect. We know. Shocking. Here's the epic fail.
Oh, this was a good old-fashioned knockdown, drag-out fight here on the show. Are you allowed to go number one in a stall?
And then you realize when you see people sitting in there, they're afraid to go in a urinal.
Well,
and this is why you need more toilets, Steve, because there's people like me who have 17 chicken fingers, a bucket in the fifth inning, go, you know what? I got to take care of something here. I'm not going to make it home.
Can we clarify? I am not a shy guy.
We don't know how to use our hands anymore, and we don't know how to do number one in front of people. That is part of being a guy. You got to be able to fix a flat and go in the urinal. You got to push through that. And if that's your fear, urinating around other people in the trough or the urinal, practice at your local Little League ballpark.
I agree.
Keep practicing because you can't take up stalls by doing that stuff.
Why?
Thank you.
There's only one place to go number two.
Go in the urinal?
There's only one place to go number two.
I go in the urinal. I go in the stall, wherever.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. If you cannot go to urinal, you should not be allowed in the stadium.
Then you're terrified of people. Then just stay home.
No, I mean, you're being ridiculous.
Why can't you go to the urinal?
Come on. What if
why do you need a stall to go number one?
What if you don't think about this stuff? What if you can go to a stall and go to a urinal as well? Maybe, hey, one day I don't want to use the urinal. The other day I just want to go in the stall.
I don't want to.
Can we clarify? I am not a shy guy.
If you have a stomach bug and you're screwed because Pete the Body Bilotti's afraid to go in the urinal, is that fair?
Did I just say, you know what I just said? Can we clarify, I am not a shy guy. And did I say I was scared to go on the urinal?
But you just said you just wanted to. You didn't give us a reason.
Well, yeah, maybe one day I want to just use the
you can't just say that.
Why
Are you scared of
Why
using
can't
the
I
urinal?
just say that?
Because what does that
Why?
mean? Because I don't just come in here and go, guys, you know what? I'm just going to talk about horses all day. I have to talk about sports, Pete. You got to do sometimes what you don't want to do.
So I can't eat like I want to eat at a ball game because you're afraid to use the urinal. What if, by the way, okay, 4 urinals open.
Can we clarify, I am not a shy guy.
5 people deep at every stall. What if I pulled down my pants and I did what I had to do in a urinal? I'd get removed from the stadium.
That's
good.
Well, you shouldn't be
That's
doing
right.
that.
Not the same
Well, I'm
thing.
being forced to do it because
but
you're
what's the
afraid to
point?
use the urinal.
This guy had a big pleasure cruise going in there to use the stall.
Right.
Can we clarify, I am not a shy guy.
Epic fail, you loser.
That is why you fail.
Epic fail.
Oh, my goodness. The pleasure cruise line killed me. The DA show poll question of the day. Are you being selfish if you pass up an open urinal to use a stall at a stadium bathroom? 66% said, no, I choose what I want.
Thank you.
Wow.
Smart guys there.
A big win by Pete the Body and Andrew Bogish. The oldest existing urinal is in Sri Lanka, dates back to the 9th century. The Industrial Revolution began the surge of urinals. There's about 35 bathrooms in the White House, but no public bathrooms. And the analytics department agree that DA and Mraz are dopes for this argument. A lot of feedback coming in on Mraz not knowing that the Immaculate Reception was only a game, only the 1972 NFL playoff game, and not how Jesus was conceived. That Mraz had Franco Harris and Frenchie Fuqua mixed up with Joseph and Mary from Bethlehem.
Joseph was a Steeler.
Thanks to Sean Mraz, executive producer, Pete the Body Bilotti on the Wheels of Steel, Andrew Bogish on headlines, Andrew Kaplan, the Wizard of Watch DA. Be good to one another. We'll see you tomorrow. The Mothership disconnects.
Toilets!